What's you going on?
What's up, guys? We both literally said the same thing.
What's up, guys?
That was like a twin moment.
Our brains are just blown up because we just got off the 2+ hour six-figure creator workshop. It is currently 8-something p.m. here at night. 7:33. We're about to go get some pizza because we're starving, but we were like, we got to shoot this intro because we're so fired up, and we knew we needed to get all this content to you. So
oh my gosh,
that was incredible.
That was incredible. We had literally over 200 people show up for this call live, and it was so much fun. We talked about the 5 trends and tools, which you're about to hear because we are uploading it for you right now, and it was awesome. It was such a good call. People all around the world, so fun.
Just as exciting, if you're listening to this right now, we just either last night or depending a couple days ago, depending on when you're listening to this, just launched the early access application to everyone that's been waiting about 8 months to join the next round of the Creativ Rise Mastermind and battle to be one of the 35 spots that we're going to get to work with and lock arms with to help you build the 6-figure foundation for your business through the power of the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind. We just launched that, and as of right now, there's already like 35 applications.
We already have more applications in than spots. I'll say
we
that.
just launched it. So
Crazy.
We are so excited. We're going into a fun new season of round 12 of the Creativ Rise Mastermind. So if you've been listening to the pod for a while, or even if you're new here, but you know that you're like, I got to kill it this year, and especially want 2025 to be great, the Mastermind is a phenomenal vehicle for you to do that. Challenge you to go to the description of the podcast, go to creativrise.com, read all about it so you can see if it would be something you should really consider because it might be a good fit for your business. And spots are going to go quick, but that's also another exciting part of tonight. But anyways, guys, hope you are going to have an awesome time listening to this. Shout out to Owen Rossi from Native Release, who is one of our guest experts, Hayley Zumkeller, who from Hayley Zumkeller Photography, Colin Yen from Camp with Call, and Becca and Marcello from Studio Atelier. They were all of our guest experts that co-taught with us on this workshop, and it was so good. So
here they are. And
here we go. Here we go. Enjoy it, guys. What is up, everybody? Hello.
Welcome to the 6-figure creator workshop. We are so glad
Look at all you guys coming in. Wow. How you doing? Hello.
You know what? These are the early birds, and I love this because I also really like being on time. So I feel like this is like, you guys are my people.
You're the people that actually read the, hey, be a couple minutes early.
They're like, what are you talking about? Of course we'll be early.
Guys, what's up? Drop in the chat where you're from. What do you do and where are you from?
Where you're from, all that good stuff. Wow, we already got 156 people on here. Okay, amazing.
Guys, so glad you guys are here. Welcome to the 6-figure creator workshop. Tonight we're going to be covering the 5 trends and tools for you to grow your business. And I don't want to overhype this, but we have a really fun plan for tonight. We are so excited. I'm just thrilled you're here. So we're so glad you guys are here. But guys, let's get started. So who's ready to learn? Throw it in the chat. The 5 trends and tools that are going to help you guys grow your business in the next 12 months. Throw a me in the chat. We love to see it. We love to see it.
Throw a me in the chat if you're like, yes, actually growth for my business sounds really nice because maybe this last year hasn't been as growth focused, and I really know that I want this thing to be awesome for me.
Just as exciting. If this is your first time, only for people that this is their first time, if this is your first time, throw a me in the chat. You've never been on a Creativ Rise workshop.
Maybe a number 1.
Yeah, maybe a number 1. There's a lot of me's. Maybe a number 1.
Okay, these are going literally so fast.
How many of you guys is your first time ever being on one of our workshops? Let's go. Amazing. Okay, now write a number 2 if you've been here. You're a veteran. You've been on one of these before. Give me a 2. All right, we're seeing a ton of 2s. I love that. Here's the reason why I'm glad that you are here for the first time. And here's the reason why I'm also glad that all of you 2s are back. Everyone who's saying that you are a veteran on Creativ Rise workshops is because this is our promise to you. This is probably why if you've been before, you showed back up tonight, because we promised to you that we are going to give as much value as humanly possible to you guys in the next like 2-ish hours about how you can grow your business from real lessons, real life lessons that I've done, that you've done in the pursuit of building our own 6-figure businesses, and that we've helped a ton of other creatives do. So we're cutting the fluff. There's no fluff here, no gatekeeping, just simply sharing with you guys what has helped Christy and I personally build our own six-figure businesses, 3 of them in 3 different industries, in the wedding space, in the brand space, and then in the actual brand development space. So like brand photo and video, then actually building brand space. So, so excited you guys are here.
Yes.
Here's what we are promising you guys are going to learn for showing up today, which is so exciting. This gets me pumped up.
So we're going to move quick during this thing. We're going to
Very
cover
quick.
all of these things. We're going to do the 2025 trends in both the brand and the wedding space. So if you're like, oh, I'm in the wedding space, oh, I'm in the brand, is this for me? Yes, it is. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of cold pitching in the DMs and email with special guest expert Owen. We're going to talk about getting more inquiries for your business for less than $10 a day in the wedding space with Hayley. We're going to talk about how to change what you sell to make more money with Becca and Marcello, a super cool duo. You guys are going to love them. And then how to dominate in your niche with Colin. He's going to blow you away. And at the very end, we're going to give you a bonus. If you did the $100 giveaway, throw it in the chat. Put a little money sign if you did the giveaway.
Say, I'm here for the money, baby.
Like,
I'm here for the money.
Here to win this giveaway. We're gonna do a giveaway at the very, very end, but you gotta be live and you gotta be there to actually win the giveaway. If we call your name and you're not here, you don't get the money. We move on to the next person.
Just give me that money, baby.
We move on to the next person. We're also then going to do live Q&A at the very end. We've got also a couple other things that we're going to give away to you guys that we haven't told you about. But again, you got to be there till the very end. So just ignore everybody else in your household. Ignore everybody else in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Throw away your plans for the next 2 hours. Hang with us. We promise you won't regret
get
it.
focused, guys. We're going to be covering a lot. Like Christy said, we're moving fast. So we are going to jump on into this stuff. Like Christy said, make sure you stay here because we are announcing the giveaway at the end. But let me start by introducing us. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to start with me first. So my story starts way back in like 2012, 2013. And I actually started my first business, signed, sealed, delivered, like started the business when I was 14 years old, which is kind of a crazy thing to say. And the photo on the left is one of the first things that I ever started shooting when I was starting my business. I was working at summer camps, shooting video there, shooting water sports in the summer, shooting, you know, wakeboarding. And in the wintertime, I was shooting skiing and snowboarding. I had a lot of fun. If anybody knows the camera, just 10 seconds. Can you take a guess on the camera on the photo on the left? If anybody guesses the camera, you get a high five.
This is so
This is a very niche question. Canon. It's going too fast for me to read, but I'm seeing a lot of Canons. You're all wrong. It was a Nikon D5100. That thing ripped, okay? That was my first camera. And so, guys, I started, this is what it looked like for me. I had no idea what I was doing. I was a young kid. The photo on the right is me on the west coast of Canada for the first time. I grew up in Canada, but I lived closer to the east side of Canada. This is one of my first times ever traveling and getting to shoot stuff and actually getting paid a paid job while I was getting to travel. I think I was 16 in this. It was so fun. So my story starts in a lot of the ways, probably your story started. You love to travel or you love to shoot outside or shoot things you were passionate about. My story started probably the same way your story started. Now, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. I went from being a broke 9th grade business owner. Again, that's when I started my first content agency, was grade 9, 14 years old. And eventually, I figured some things out, and at age 19, after 5 years, I had finally hit the 6-figure point, which I thought was incredible. And that might sound incredible to you, but the problem is, it took me 5 years to do it because I was doing so much of it myself. Hey, shout out Kai, you said D5100 was your first camera too. I love that.
Go.
So here's some photos of me getting to travel all over the world as I got to shoot for brands, some of them like Ford, LaCroix, Yeti, Uber, some just amazing projects all over the world. I got to do 21 countries before the age of 20. My camera took me everywhere, which is just incredible. So that's a little bit about my story if you're new to Creativ Rise and you don't know it. So that's me.
Yeah.
And she's much more exciting. So here goes Christy.
Right. Well, unlike Joey, I did not start my business as an infant. I started it in 2016. I just graduated college. I was working 3 jobs. If you've ever worked 3 jobs at the same time, please just throw tired in the chat. You will understand what I'm talking about. I was working 3 jobs. I was working for an organization. I can't remember what the other one was at the time. And then I was working for a nonprofit. Now, if you've worked in a nonprofit, you know it's very non-profitable. I was barely making my student loan payments. And I remember there was a month where I missed my student loan payment. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make a change. So I was like, you know what? What's the most random thing I can think of starting? A wedding photography business. I didn't know any other wedding photographers at the time other than maybe like 1 or 2. And I was like, let's just give this thing 6 months. Like I got 6 months in the bank account to make this thing work. And if it doesn't, I'll like go be a lawyer or something or whatever. So I gave myself 6 months and it was the hardest 6 months ever.
I think this photo shows. Anybody see this right here? Anybody remember
You know
this
what,
style right here?
Hannah gets me in the chat. The
flower
bokeh.
bouquet.
Okay, if you are a real OG wedding photographer, you have done that at one point, and I know it's gonna come back. But that was me 6 months in. I was like giving it all I got. And in 6 months, I was able to go full time as a wedding photographer, which then led to doing some really amazing things. You guys, building a business is one of the best things I've ever done for myself, for just life in general. It is awesome. So I was able to travel around the world, became a destination wedding photographer. I shot in France, I shot in Nicaragua, I was in Paris, I was in Santorini, I was in Greece. I was in all these really amazing places shooting dream couples and dream ideal clients. And it was not easy. That is what we're going to be talking about in this entire workshop. Those things that actually cause growth, but it was so worthwhile to build it. I then transitioned out of that and went full-time into the brand photography space, built a 6-figure business in the brand photography space as well, which was super exciting. So got to work with a ton of really amazing dream clients. And ultimately, the coolest thing I feel like about the story that I love the most is the top left-hand picture. That is the same nonprofit that I used to work for, I was then able to give to. So that was a well that we were able to drill in Nicaragua. On the same trip, I actually shot a wedding in Nicaragua. We were able to drill a well for a community, which is honestly, giving back is like the biggest thing about businesses. And that is the thing that was like full circle moment for me. It was the coolest thing ever and super humbling. So that's a little bit of my story.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's a little bit about us if you are new here. And then if you're really new here, let me tell you about Creativ Rise really quick. So we started Creativ Rise back in 2019. It is an education platform to teach you business so that you can actually run one, right? Because we all know that the only way that a creative business will ever thrive, it's, yes, you got to have good creative, but it's much more about your business strategy once your creative gets to a certain level. So we imagine a world where more creatives just like you, more creatives just like us, get paid to do what they love, and you get to succeed at it through understanding the power of business strategy, then most importantly, having a community to lean into. This is cool. There's hundreds of you guys right now on this call. This is a communal chat. We love creating environments like this. And over the last 5 years, we've helped creatives just inside one of our 6-week programs make $15 million. So I say this because I want to encourage you that if you're hanging around creatives who are like, oh, we don't make any money, it's impossible. Well, that's not who we are. That's not who all of the Creativ Rise community, all of our friends are. We want to encourage you to be here, hang out with us, and you're going to find ways to make more money, which is really cool. So quick example of that, and I want this to encourage you so that you can really pay attention to what we're going to be teaching tonight. But what we are teaching you tonight works, guys. And the reason that it works is because it's worked for Christy and I, and we've got literally like dozens and dozens and dozens of stories like this of people building their own 6-figure businesses. A lot of you guys are even on this call. Shout out Jared, I see you in the chat. I've seen Gabrielle in the chat. Owen, a bunch of you guys are on this call right now. And they have implemented the things that we have been teaching, and they have gone on to build some businesses. You can read any of these titles. Sam went from $20,000 a year as a wedding filmmaker over here, all the way up to $194,000. You're going to hear more about Owen's story later. He's one of the guest experts. He made $98,000 in 6 weeks by switching up something that he is going to be teaching you tonight. The list goes on and on and on. We've got endless stories about the wedding and the brand space as that emulates both of our lives and our own creative businesses. So I show you this to encourage you. Pay attention, get rid of distractions, get some notepads out, and let's get into it. You guys stoked? You guys ready to go?
Awesome.
Throw me in the chat if you guys are ready to jump on into some 2025 trends. This is what we're going to kick it off with. We are going to be covering 2025 trends in the wedding and in the brand space, but we're going to start with the brand one. So if you are in the brand world, type me in the chat real quick. If you're a brand person, you shoot brands. You shoot personal brands, you shoot B2B businesses.
I wish. Well, don't worry, you can.
Hey, you can. You can learn how to do it. All right, guys, we got a lot of brand people on here. Stay tuned. If you're in the wedding industry, this stuff's still applicable to you, and we're about to give a couple wedding trends in a second.
Yes.
But here is the first the first brand trend that I really do want to cover. So it's almost 2025, guys. The days of only helping brands with their organic content are over. If you make this one shift, brands are going to push more budget to you guys. Who wants more budget getting pushed to them, right?
Talk about organic content.
We all want. Yeah, the difference between organic content and what I'm going to talk about in a second. Organic content is when you shoot content and the brand just posts it on their socials very organically, right? It's going on the free platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, X, all the places where you could put organic content, and it's just living there. It's hanging out. And the problem with organic content, as I'm sure you guys are experiencing, every brand's experiencing, is that the algorithm is at will. Sometimes it's going to pop you, sometimes it's going to hide you, and you're not going to get anything. So what is the solution to this? Well, a lot of brands are starting to really, really double down on their paid advertising content.
Yes.
And this is something that a lot of creatives, including myself, for a long time neglected. We don't focus on what a client of ours or a potential client of ours or someone we want to pitch to become a client of ours, what their paid traffic strategies look like and how we could actually get involved in that. So the first trend that I'm covering today is that brands want variable paid ads content from you. And what variable means is that when you are creating content for them, you're creating content for their paid ad channels, you are doing so in a way where the content is manipulated to have different hooks or different variations of it. Because paid advertising, if you've ever run ads for yourself, paid advertising is all completely entirely about testing. And so brands are really, really valuing that. And how I want to prove this to you in a second. But here's the truth. Most brands care more about their paid content strategy than their organic one. And why is that? Because if they pay the money, they can guaranteed get the views. If they just post something organically, it's not guaranteed to get seen by anybody, right? So then why are we, here's the question for you if you are a creative in the brand space, why are we all boxing ourselves into these little fences by only selling them organic content? The reality is we're all leaving a lot of money on the table, and brands are really, really showing that this is something they value. And to prove that to you, I want to introduce you to a couple friends of ours, Cam and Elise Greenwood. If you're from Aussie, you'll know what this is. Zorali, if you're from maybe New Zealand, even if you're from the US, I'm sure you know what Zorali is. But we interviewed some of our friends on our podcast, the Creativ Rise podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's a weekly podcast you should go tune into, both on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But we interviewed our friends Cam and Elise, and we talked about where they are pushing their budget when it comes to working with creators. And their direct response was Cam saying this: we want to hire creators to create content for our paid ad ecosystems, but we need variety. Paid ads is all about testing. Give us a video with 4 different hooks. That is what we want. So what does this mean for all of us creatives? These are literally 2 founders of a brand that's doing 7 figures a month in the outdoor space and growing rapidly, a really, really cool brand. And they love to partner with creatives. But where they're wanting to partner with creatives is and having creatives help them with their paid advertising strategies. So this means that if you're only somebody who's ever learned how to pitch organically, you should consider what it looks like to start pitching the brands you want to work with for their paid ads. But here's 2 things that I really want to make sure you consider. 1, pitch them for paid ads, but 2, make sure that what you are pitching has variety. As Cam says, give us a single video with 4 different hooks. Have the first 3 or 4 seconds of the video be different because we want to test it, see what's going to work the best, and then scale what's ever working the best. So this is a huge, huge difference from a lot of the ways that you guys are currently working with brands in ways that I've failed to work with brands in the past as well. So this is something I'm focusing on. The 2 of us are focusing on this year, and we have been focusing, and it's been working really well. And we want you to focus on it as well. Shout out Dagan. He's shooting a campaign for these guys next week. That's awesome. Dagan. They want hero images and ads exactly right there, right? Website content, email newsletter content, and ads. So that's great proof, Dagan. I love that. So here's what a simple paid ads offer can look like. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but if you're wondering, well, Joey, what does that look like to sell that? It could be something as simple as this, $22.50 per month, because the thing about ads, this is the cool thing for you creators, is that ads need to be refreshed all the time. If people are just seeing the same ad over and over again, they keep swiping past it, and the cost per result for these brands gets higher and higher and higher, which means they need to put new content in their paid ad ecosystem. So every month, you can give them a paid ads refresh. This could look like meeting up once a month to shoot 4 reels with variable hooks, a couple photos. You could build out a couple design carousels, showcasing some of their products. And you could do 1 monthly call with them to really go, okay, what are some of the products you guys want to push or the services you guys are pushing? Are you running any sales this month? What do we need to be putting into our paid advertising content this month? Do 1 simple call like that a month, strategize on it, do a quick turnaround, and you could charge $22.50 a month for that. It's just a number I'm throwing on there. That's probably pretty baseline. You could go a little bit cheaper. You could go higher depending on the size of the brand, obviously, and how intricate those pieces of content are. And then you could scale that down to a smaller offer, and get rid of, what some of the quick turnarounds, or maybe even just scale down the content. So that's what that can look like. If you're taking notes today, make sure you take a photo of this. Everybody pull out your phone or take a screenshot of your computer if this is valuable to you, because I'm moving on. Is this USD or Canadian? Doesn't matter. Depends on which country you're in. It could be Aussie, it could be in the UK, it could be pounds.
If you live in Canada, charge in USD.
Yes.
That's great.
It's a great way to get an extra 30%.
Let's go.
So real quick, throw in the chat if this has convinced you to add some type of a paid ads offer to your business. Type me in the chat.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna take
Amazing.
for everyone who's saying me, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pull out your phone really quick, or if you have messages on your computer, I want you to pull up your text messages. Text me, it's my phone number. Text me the word ads to 916-587-6417. And I'm going to send you a video on how I find a step-by-step guide on what the brands I want to work with are actually currently doing in their paid advertising. You literally get to see every ad they are even running right now, and you get to audit those and decide if they are going to be a really good client for you to work with, if you can help them. Shoot me the word ads, text that to my cell right now, and it's just going to auto-respond you with a link where you can watch that video. Don't watch it now. Watch it later after tonight's training. But this is a little bonus I wanted to throw in there. We love bonuses at Creativ Rise. So throw that in there, okay? Everybody got it? Take a photo, take a screenshot. Awesome, moving on.
Okay,
this is the second trend in the brand space that I want to cover really quick, guys.
If you're international, shoot us a DM on Creativ Rise. We'll make sure we get it to you.
Yes, or try texting. We'll see if it works.
Try
the second one is it's almost 2025, guys. I love using Loom to enhance my client experience. Now, guys, if you're in the wedding industry, this is huge for you as well. This is not just a brand thing. This is huge for you if you are in the wedding industry. Country code's +1, by the way. I saw that in the chat. This is massive if you were in the wedding industry, and I'm going to show you why. So here is what I sent. Literally, I think the date on this is at the end of July. This is about a month ago. I locked down an $18,000 brand building deal where we're running something that I call brand therapy. It's a consulting process that I put companies through for some of our brand building services, and it's $18,000 for a day consulting. And this is the email I had sent to close the deal. We were on the phone. He's like, hey, I want this, I want that. I said, great. He goes, hey, can you just get me a quick quote? I really want to show it to my partner. So I said, okay. Instead of building out a whole pitch and a whole proposal, I sent him over a very clear, simple email. And you can see this in the top of the email. I said, hey, first off, today was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed hearing all about your new, I'm not going to expose what company this was because of all the NDA stuff. The second line is the most important thing. If you'd rather watch this email and all of its info in video format, click here to watch. Because I like to move click, here's some of the build outs, and then I go on in the email. The bottom thing is, this bottom picture right here is what it looks like if you were to click on that link in that email. It actually brings you up to a Loom video. If you're not aware what Loom is a little plugin you can download. They have a free version, super great. Their paid version is like $10 a month. It's so worth it, where you can just click a button and you can record your screen, record yourself if you want, and your audio of anything. So I like to do this before I send off an email to a client. I will actually record me reading through the email, filling in some context. And what it allows me to do is it allows the client to see my passion for working with them. It allows me to use different lingo that's hard to kind of come across via text. They get to see my charisma and, like I said, my joy for what I'm doing. And most importantly, they get to just see how I am going to give them a solution to their problem. This is a huge way. I get responses all the time from clients saying, dude, that was awesome to get all that info in that email via video. That was so cool. And what this has done for my business is it has massively increased the engagement I get. It also, Loom will tell me when someone opens that video and watches it. So I know if they've seen my email. So that's a great way to see, and do some email tracking. It increases their perception of my brand persona. So it makes them want to work with us because they like the brand. It adds tons of trust. And most importantly, one of the biggest reasons why somebody won't hire you is because they don't perceive to really get your understood value. They might see the value, but they don't understand it. They go, Joey, I get what you're telling us you're going to do, but it doesn't really make sense to us. Where when I can explain it like this, talking to you in an email, rather than it just being text in an email, a lot of the time my clients come back and say, I really, really get it and I'm excited about the value. So I really want you guys to consider doing that. The plugin is called Loom. Highly, highly suggest that. Who's adding Loom to their video strategy coming up this year for pitches, for client communications? Yep. I'm seeing a lot of yeps.
Everything
Great.
like that. Awesome.
I love this, guys. So that's 2 brand trends that are super important that you guys should be looking at adding to your business this year.
That's awesome. Okay, who's ready for the 2 wedding-focused trends for 2025? If you are from the wedding industry, type me. Oh no, there's a lot of me's. Maybe type wedding. Type wedding in the chat.
And hey guys, for all you brand folks out there, this isn't the time to check out. this stuff is definitely applicable to your brand business as well. So make sure you stay tuned in.
I would love to see someone implement this in their brand business. Okay, this is gonna be so good. So we got two things. You might be wondering, you know, people always think the wedding industry never changes, but I seriously think that couldn't be further from the truth. I think it's one of the fastest changing industries. And if you don't keep up, you can sometimes get left behind, and nobody wants to do that on this call. So here are two trends that are hitting the wedding industry that you can start implementing literally today. Like you can do this tonight and you can start making more money, which is really cool. So number one is creating a moonshot package. Now you might be thinking, Christy, I already have one of those. It's my third package. It's my 10-hour package. It's more expensive and a lot of people don't book it. That is not what I'm talking about, okay? So real quick, before we get into the moonshot package though, and why it's going to help you make way more money and actually help people book you more often, let's go over the Creativ Rise price anchoring method. So people that are from Creativ Rise, you know all about price anchoring. But if you're your first time being around us, you haven't been around us for very long, this is something that is so important when it comes to helping people choose the right package. So you want to price anchor for your middle package. You should price your middle package as the one you want to book all the time. So if your middle package kind of sucks to you and you're like, oh, I'm really bummed when people don't book the top package, make your top package your middle package pricing, because you've got to be stoked when people book the middle package, because that's how this is all works. So this is how most people price anchor their packages. They go $3,000 for the lowest one. Let's say it's like a 6-hour, an 8-hour for $3,500, and $4,000 for the last highest one. Now, this is only $500 apart. It's very confusing. People often go for the lowest package when prices are priced this way. Now, this is a price anchored package. $3,500 for the bottom one. We have $4,000 for the middle one. So it isn't that much of a price difference between the first two packages. But then the last package is $7,000. This is not the moonshot package, but a $7,000 package, which makes the middle one look cheap. And it makes the bottom one look like, that's not everything that I want. And it's only $500 more to book the $4,000 package. So we're going to go for the middle one. Okay, that is what you want to do for your prices. I'm going to share with you a tool that you can actually use that we will price anchor for you in this tool. We'll give it to you at the end of the workshop.
Stay
but
tuned.
this is how you price anchor your packages. Now, what is a moonshot package? Okay, this is a trend that'll work in your favor in more than one way, is by doing this one thing, and it's creating a moonshot package. Now, again, we've got our 6, 8, and 10 hour. We've got our prices already set, price anchored. That is awesome. You are going to create a multi-day wedding weekend, wedding week, whatever you want to make it, a multi-day wedding package. This thing is going to be the bougiest thing you could possibly put together, multiple days, all this kind of stuff. Now, what are we going to price it at? This is what I want you to price it at. I want you to 3x your middle package, okay? Which might sound crazy. You might be like, Christy, nobody is going to book that. So why do we do this? Number one, this is a marketing hack. You want to have a ghost offer.
A really good
sales tool. You want something that stands as a ghost offer, AKA you're not trying to sell your moonshot package. This is a sales tactic that's going to build so much trust with your potential client. If you have a giant, super expensive package and you hop on a sales call with somebody and you say, hey, so I know we're gonna get into our packages. First of all, I just wanted to run this one by you. I actually don't think you need this. Keywords. I've got this wedding weekend package. It's $12,000. It's gonna be 3 days long, blah, 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 blah. You list all the stuff. But from hearing what we were talking about, it seems like you only need day of coverage. So I'm gonna point you to these packages. Does that sound good?
They're gonna be like, that's amazing. Wow, that's pretty cool. You have that package, Christy.
That's really cool. But also, wow, I trust you so much that you didn't just try to upsell me on the 12K package, but you actually are leading me to what I really need. And it builds a crazy amount of trust when you do that.
Is this making sense to you guys? Throw me in the chat. This is making sense.
If the ghost offer makes sense. So you want to have something that you're not even trying to sell, but that's going to build trust in the sales process. Number two, it makes you stand out as an authority. When someone sees that you have a $12,000 package or a $10,000 package or a $20,000 package, whatever it is, that person's going to go, dang. They're going to assume that you book that, okay? So they're going to go, whoa, people hire this girl for $12,000. That's amazing. Wow, she must really know what she's doing. He must really know what he's doing. So number two, it helps you stand out as an authority. And then, of course, the cherry on top. If it does book, you're stoked. With the rise of wedding weeks, destination being more accessible to more people, smaller headcounts for wedding, people pushing budget more to the creative side of what's happening, this becomes way more of a possibility that someone will actually want to go bougie with you and get the full wedding weekend package. And if you don't have an offer that someone can pay you $12,000 for, you're going to be sad if they were willing to pay you $12,000.
Yes.
So who's adding a moonshot to their package, to their pricing guide tonight? Drop it
Throw me in the chat. And also, while you guys are doing that, there's a couple of questions here. We're not going to get stuck on these because we have to keep moving. But Julia, you said, do you introduce this package first or last? Introducing it first, as Christy said, hey, I don't know if this is for you, but I just want to make sure I run this by you, because if it is for you, I really want to make sure you can take advantage of it. Oh, it doesn't sound like it's for you. Awesome. I didn't think so. Let me show you the day of packages. Yep. That's what Christy's saying is going to build out of trust. So introduce it first. And then, Kenya, you said, so you're almost making it seem like it's their idea. I mean, I guess so. Yeah, you're just helping them lead you to where they want to go, which adds a lot of just like familiarity and trust into the process, which is great.
And all you do is you can just 3X, or you can choose your own number, but I like a 3X on the middle package. It just tends to make sense.
Yes.
Last tip for the wedding people, and I'm going to keep this one short: wedding content creation. Everyone type iPhone in the chat. I know this is going to make the hair on someone's arms stand up, because they're like, no, wedding photography is only with professional cameras. Times are changing. Now, professional wedding photography, not going away. Professional videography, not going away. But you know what is rising? iPhone content capturing on wedding days. What do couples want? What do Gen Z really want? What do a lot of millennials really want? Behind the scenes, actually stylized coverage of their wedding days that they can piece together reels themselves, or that reels can be done for them and it's done in 24 hours. To not have to wait, to have that approachable content. So many people at Creativ Rise are doing this right now. There's literally so many content creators, and they call themselves content creators. They're using iPhones at weddings, and all they're doing all day is going around with their iPhone, getting all the behind the scenes stuff, dropping it all in a folder and sending it to the couple within 24 hours. They're even doing add-ons of creating reels, all that cool stuff. Taylor Cruz is on this call, and she is a wedding content creator, and she is crushing it. She was just on the podcast. 3 ways you can incorporate wedding iPhone content creation to your business. Instead of just ignoring it, pretending like it's not happening, let's join them, right? Let's get a piece of the pie out of this new trend. So you can add it as an add-on to your photography packages or your videography packages. You can have your second shooter do it. You can hire a third shooter, add that onto your packages. It can be a super cool upsell. Your couples will love it. Number 2, you can make it an independent business. If you're like, you know what, I just want to hire some kids. I'm going to have them go out and do it. You can literally make an entire business model out of this. Or you could, last but not least, have a referral system. Go and find someone in your area that's a content creator, link up with some people and go, hey, I will send, if I have a couple that's interested, I'll send them your way. You give me a kickback or whatever % of the package. We got a deal going for each other. So this is the way to do content creation.
It's a huge trend, guys. I'm loving this. I would love to see more of you guys do this.
Yeah.
I think it's great. All right, guys. Who's ready to hear from our guest experts? We have a killer lineup, and their content is incredible. Owen, we're going to bring you up first. Type me in the chat, or type let's go in the chat if you guys are fired up for this.
Let's go.
We've just got to find Owen real quick.
For this.
And we got to invite him to be a panelist, promote him to panelist.
Let's go, Owen.
Owen, you are coming on up, brother.
All right.
Hopefully you can get on here. Guys, we are so excited for you guys to get to meet Owen. I'm going to stop my screen share here. Owen's going to take over.
Yeah, so why don't you introduce Owen?
Yeah, so we're hold on one second. Just got to make sure Owen can share screen. Great. All right, Owen. Dude, you can share your screen. You can get ready to get rocking. Guys, I just want to remind you real quick as I'm introducing Owen that if you have a question, the best place to put a question is going to be in the actual Q&A panel. So go down to the bottom of your screen. Make sure you find the Q&A panel because this is about to heat up. This is about to get hot. Owen's about to share some heat. So this is Owen Rossi. He's from Missoula, Montana. Dude's a killer. You can see all the brands that he has gotten to work with over the years here. Woo-hoo. He runs a content agency called Native Release. And this is one of my favorite things about Owen. Owen not only is really good at what he does, but he listens to feedback and he cranks really, really well. And because he does that, he's been able to grow his business in a lot of really great ways. Just a recent one, Owen was in our last round of our Creativ Rise Mastermind. He was in round 11. And Owen is currently, we should put a little, Owen, I should have shipped you like a little crown to wear during this call. Because Owen is the reigning champ. He's the king right now.
True.
On the most money made by a Creativ Rise Mastermind grad inside of the 6 weeks. Owen made $98,500 in just 6 weeks while in our 6-week mastermind, which is crazy. So I am super excited for you guys to hear about this. Owen is going to be talking about, I'll let him intro it, but Owen, you got it, brother. Take it away. Here we go.
What is going on, everybody? I'm super pumped to be here. I'm going to share a few tips and tricks just when it comes to pitching and landing more deals. So jumping in here. Who here feels like pitching via email and DM just doesn't work for you, right? You've tried everything, nothing's working, and you're starting to feel some frustration. Go ahead and type me in the chat if this is you. Yeah, I've been there. I have totally been there. I used to send like hundreds of emails and DMs a month. I got ghosted many times. It's frustrating, not a fun place to be. But the good news is it does not have to be like that. So today we're going to cover the do's and don'ts when it comes to cold pitching. Now, before I jump into those do's and don'ts, a few of the results that I experienced thanks to the awesome people at Creativ Rise. Once I made this change was one, I went from getting a 1 to 40 response rate to a 3 out of 10 response rate, which is an 1,100% increase, which is crazy. Then I went from making a monthly recurring revenue of $4,000 to $25,000 a month. And then 3, now I spend way less time per pitch, but I get much better results. So I used to wonder why no one would respond to my cold pitches. I was spending hours every week finding contacts to email and DM, building out different pitch decks and sending out mass email pitches. I was sending more or less 250 cold emails a month and still getting ghosted. If this sounds like you, drop me in the chat. It's a tough place to be, but you got to go through the lows to get to the highs. So enough was enough. I had to make a change. I joined the Creativ Rise 6-week mastermind, and it taught me that my biggest problem was my pitches were all about me, who I was, what I could do, what I've shot before, everything to do with me and nothing to do with the brand and how I could actually help them. So here's why this doesn't work. It doesn't work because brands want to work with a creative that understands their problem and has a solution to help. My pitches were missing the problem and the opportunity to fix it. So here I've got a quick screenshot of a company I reached out to with an old pitch. This company is actually called Luno. They make car camping mattresses. So it says, "Hi, Sarah. Hope you've had a great week and all is well. My name is Owen and I run a creative media agency called Native Release based out of Montana. I want to reach out as I think Native Release would be an excellent fit to take on some of Luno's creative needs this year. We've started booking clients for 2024 and only have a few spots remaining for the quarter. Below I've attached links to our Instagram website and media kit for review. Happy to jump on a call to chat through some options and thanks in advance for your time." So right off the bat, 3 things this pitch is missing is 1, it's not personal. They can probably tell I've copy and pasted this to many other brands. 1, I'm not pointing out any sort of a problem. And then 3, because I'm not pointing out a problem, I can't really come to the table with a solution to provide any real value. So here's a quick pitching checklist I use that has served me really well anytime I'm going to reach out to a new brand. So first, I'll run a quick audit on their content and isolate what they're doing well. So we'll jump on Instagram for about a minute, scroll, figure out a few things that they're doing well. 2, I'll isolate what they're not doing well and why it's costing them success. 3, I'll clearly explain how I can help them navigate the problem that they're dealing with. 4, you want to make sure you keep this short. And then 5, this is actually a big one, is adding a PS line is super helpful. A lot of these brands get tons of emails every day with pitches, and a lot of times they just scan those. So having a strong PS line that acts as a hook is a great way for someone to scan, and maybe they read the PS line and are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool," and then they'll go back and actually read your entire email. And then bonus, 80% of my landed pitches that come from follow-up. So in my opinion, your first outreach email, you're not usually going to get a yes right off the bat. It's a nice way to get your foot in the door, and then your follow-ups will do the rest of the work for you from there. And also, I think following up every 3 to 5 days is a good idea. So here's a screenshot of another pitch actually to the same company. This is also to Luno, but this one resulted in a landed deal. So it says, "Hi team, hope you've had a killer weekend. I was recently scrolling through the Luno social feed and love all the beautiful different landscapes you featured your products in, especially the one showcasing the Northern Lights. Keep up the amazing work." So super personal right off the bat. I did notice that the Luno feed is a little light on short form video content that features one of the brand's key pillars, community. Where your current video content looks awesome, the majority of your reels feature only one person, which can drastically decrease your reach and hinder your future sales. So there we're touching on the problem. I have a few ideas for short form video content that emphasizes community that would really help connect Luno with new audiences while driving sales I'd love to share. For example, a lifestyle reels campaign like the one we did here for Go Macro would be a great way to connect with new consumers by using models who look and have the same interests as them. So there's coming to the table with the solution. Click here to grab 50 minutes on my calendar, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more of my ideas with you soon. PS, I was recently chatting with Gabriella on LinkedIn about the new mattress you just launched. What better time to chat about ways to drive sales with engaging Reels content? Let's jump on that call. It'll be a great 50 minutes. So a nice PS line to sort of tie everything together. Quick recap. we touched on this already a little bit, but you know, the changes I started to see once I tweaked things was I went from 1 to 40 response rate to a 3 to 10 response rate, went from $4,000 a month to $25,000 a month. And now I spend way less time per pitch and I get better results. So your main takeaway, guys, is your pitch is only as good as your ability to point out a problem, an area of opportunity, and explain how you can solve it. So if you guys found value in this, show some love in the chat and yeah, go out there and crush it.
Let's go.
Let's go,
okay,
Owen.
That was amazing.
Way to go, bro. Hey, give it up for Owen in the chat. Let's go. Come on.
Let's go. That was awesome.
Owen, that was awesome, bro. Thanks for all the great advice on pitching and how you shifted that and how it's given you an 1,100% increase, which is bonkers. So
I just know there are so many screenshots of that.
I know.
Email.
I feel like everyone was just like taking screenshots.
That's why I like Creativ Rise, because there's literally no gatekeeping and you can screenshot it and use it, which is so exciting. So thank you so much, Owen.
Guys, he literally, again, just hold some gratitude for Owen here for a second. He literally just showed you his emails that land him clients. And told you exactly what he does. That's amazing. So
cool.
Thank you, Owen. Owens, we're going to drop you back down. You killed that. That was great.
Yes, great
And
job.
guys, if you have questions for Owen or questions just about pitching in general, make sure you're throwing them in the Q&A panel. We are going to get to questions at the end of this workshop, which is going to be awesome. But we got another guest expert for you. We're going TED Talk speed style here. We're bringing up Hayley Zumkeller.
Hayley Zumkeller.
Shout out to Hayley. What's up, Hayley? Good to see ya.
So glad you were here.
We are so glad you were here. So go ahead and share your screen, Hayley. While you do so, I'm going to introduce you guys. Everyone who does not know Hayley, Hayley is a photographer and filmmaker in both the wedding and the brand space from Vancouver Island up in Canada. Woo-hoo. Shout out to all the island peeps up there. People are like, I didn't even know there was an island in Canada. There's islands in Canada? There's islands in Canada. Hayley is incredible because she is so good at building systems into her business that create results. And when I say results, I mean growth in her business. So we've known Hayley for many years now.
What round of the Mastermind were you in?
You round like 7? Was it round 7? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I think around 7.
It was probably around round 7. Hayley, we met Hayley in the Mastermind, and she has grown her business a lot since then. And one of the ways she's done that is from what she's going to be teaching you tonight. But some of the things about Hayley that I think are really cool, averages 15 to 20K per month off of the system she's about to show you. She received 270 inquiries this year, guys. Type me in the chat if you're like, I could use some more inquiries, right? Then
she has 269 inquiries more than I do.
She's booking 5-figure weddings. So guys, here's what I want to encourage you. Hayley is going to be talking about what she does from a wedding perspective for her business, but this is duplicatable to your brand business as well.
Yes.
It's brilliant. Hayley, when you are ready, take it away. You're awesome. We can't wait to hear. Let's go.
All right, sweet. So the main thing I'm going to be talking about, obviously, is getting more inquiries here. Who feels like getting inquiries for your business is harder than it should be? I know we all probably spend a lot of time just hoping people come into our inbox. So type me in the chat if this is you, and we will get going here. So I was also like this. I was sick and tired of spending countless hours each week trying to get inquiries, not knowing when they were going to come in or where they were even going to come from. So I made a change, and today I'm going to be covering what I did. And this is going to be how to get consistent inquiries for less than $10 a day with the help of funnels. So some of you may understand what a funnel is, but for those of you that don't know, the bottom line is that you are asking strangers to make a huge purchase from you. So a funnel is the journey your ideal clients take going from a stranger to a customer. So you're really funneling in the general public and narrowing people down to your ideal client. So by continually solving people's problems, building trust with them, showing them that you're an expert in your field, they are going to be more likely to buy from you. So I implemented a funnel recently, and I went from getting 0 to 1 inquiries a week to 8 inquiries per week. That is a 1,500% increase, and we're going to be talking about this in a second here. Before I was building funnels, I was spending hours every week creating content endlessly. Like it was just an endless cycle. I was trying to go viral, and I even had a video blow up and hit 4 million views, which actually led to 0 leads, which was very surprising for me. So I always hoped people were just going to stumble across my content and just think, you know what, I'm going to hire her. I'm going to pay $8,000 for a wedding, and I don't even know this person. I just saw one picture, which is not the way. I decided there had to be a better way, and I made a change. So I've recently gone to 2 inner circle retreats, which is basically retreats with people who go through the Creativ Rise Mastermind. The last 2 were in California, which is awesome. We basically learn way more about business for 4 days straight. Now, I learned a lot about funnels and I created one. This was the most successful funnel I built. So I built the ultimate Vancouver Island wedding vendor guide, which was a freebie to my ideal clients that had real value, which is the key here. So I took a problem that a lot of my clients have, which is spending hundreds of hours searching for vendors all over the island. And I made a list of every single one on the island with links to all of them, organized by industry, city, and everything. So that helped save a lot of time for people. Now, how to turn this into a funnel? So number 1, you build a value product for your ideal client. So you ask, what problem does your client have and how can you solve it? I built a free list. You could build a free video, a free guide. And then what you're going to do is attach it to a landing page with a form to sign up to receive this value product. And what you're going to do is you're going to attach an email sequence to that form. So you can use something like MailChimp. Basically, you got your landing page, people sign up with their email, and then what happens is you automate your emails to them for the next couple of weeks. So you send them the value product, you share a little bit about what yourself, what you offer, and you can invite them to work with you. And then in order to keep this running, instead of posting one organic post that dies after a day, you can build a basic ad campaign for less than $5 a day and run traffic to that landing page. So basically what it looks like is your ads are running 24/7. People are signing up with their email. Your emails automate to the client, so they're hearing from you consistently for weeks. And the little bonus here is when you run ads, people typically follow your Instagram to learn a little bit about you as well. So your ads and email automation are working for you. No need to create any content when you don't want to. So how nice does that sound? I feel like we all have days where the last thing we want to do is create content, and with ads, you just don't have to, which is so nice. Here's the proof in the pudding. I'll try to make this super quick, but basically for less than $4 a day for 30 days, I had 560 people visit my landing page for this free wedding vendor list. And out of those 560, I had 244 future clients sign up to my email funnel for less than $101. Now, I also really enjoy ads, so I built a complete ad strategy where I sent ads about my videography and photography to the vendor list people as well, because clearly they are interested. And I spent $15 a day for 30 days, which brought 4,400 people to my website, which landed me 271 inquiries so far this year alone. Now, because I implemented this funnel and ran a simple ad strategy, again, I had a 1,500% increase in inquiries. I filled my wedding calendar and I'm charging 5 figures for half of my weddings now. I spend way less time worrying about when and where my next inquiry is going to come from because they come in daily. And I feel less pressure to push content all the time because my content is working for me. So the takeaway is learn to give value to the masses and you'll always have inquiries. And organic content doesn't always bring in consistent leads, but free value paired with paid ad content does. Thanks for listening.
Awesome.
Let's go, Hayley.
Dang, I feel like
that was so good.
Minds are just
anybody's brain just blowing up, throw me in the chat if you're like, that was amazing. And my brain is blowing up.
So good, Hayley.
Hayley, that was awesome.
Amazing.
So, guys, what I love about this is Hayley just showed you the system. She just showed you the raw numbers. $101 to get 500 people to her website and then 200 plus of them to sign up and start getting dripped, not only value from the free product, but also get dripped info about what it looks like to work with her. So and good. Hayley, this books you weddings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure does.
Doesn't just book them, it books weddings. Oh, yeah.
Books.
Yeah, full caps. I love that. Hayley, that was amazing.
So good.
Guys, if you have questions about building funnels and what this looks like, make sure you throw them in the chat and the Q&A panel, and we are going to get to those at the end of this call, so make sure you stay tuned. Hayley, that was awesome. We're so grateful for you sharing. We're dropping you back down.
All right. Okay, Joe.
We got 2 more guest experts real quick, guys. This is going to be so fun.
Good.
We're welcoming up to the stage Becca and Marcello, the founders of Studio Atelier. These guys are awesome. Here they are. Camera's coming on.
Amazing.
Let's go.
What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for being here.
What's up,
we
you
got
guys?
The duo of all duos.
Legends. All right, guys, hype them up in the chat as they start to share their screen. Quick little bit of info on Becca and Marcello. Becca was in round 3, I think, of the Creativ Rise Mastermind. That was like almost 5 years ago.
Crazy.
And it has been so cool to watch her journey and then partnering with her now husband Marcello as they are building out Studio Adelaide. It's so cool. And one of the things that I think they do really, really well, you're going to hear about it, but they are masters of building brands. You can obviously see incredible visual brands.
In the design
but most
space.
importantly, they've figured out a really, really good way in order to sell a lot more of these brand builds. So these guys are from Southern California. They've got an awesome business, and a lot has changed in the last year for them, and they're going to share about it. So you two, take it away.
Go for
Let's
it, guys.
go. Guys, if you got questions, throw them in the Q&A panel. Here we go.
Awesome. Well, like Joey said, I'm Becca.
And I'm Marcello.
And we run Studio Atelier, which is a brand and website design studio that focuses on bridging the gap between strategy and aesthetics to help creatives create a brand that converts. And if you're a husband and wife team or a couple team, this is something that we had a dream of doing. And 2 years ago, we were actually able to make it happen. So if that's something that you guys want to do as well, just know that it's an absolute possibility and it is so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get this going with a quick question. Who in this chat feels like not knowing what to sell and how to price it is holding their business back? Throw in a little hand emoji, type me, send SOS in the chat. Let us know if that's who you are.
Before we really get into everything that we're going to be talking about today, we wanted to basically just show you where we were at last year and where we are at this year, because once we established a primary offer, everything changed for our business. We went from making about $6,900 last June to $18,000 this June, which is a 160% increase, which was so crazy in our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
2, we knew exactly how to speak to our ideal client. And 3, we're pretty much booked out 2 to 3 months in advance with a wait list.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just to give a little bit of context of like what this last year's journey has looked like in building our own brand and creating a primary offer that did this for us.
Yeah, so over the next couple of minutes, we're going to be talking about how we changed what we sell and why it made a huge difference in our business. So in the past, we basically did everything for everyone. I'm sure everyone in the chat is familiar with the phrase jack of all trades, master of none. That's basically what our business was. We try to capitalize on all of our skills individually rather than having them come together as a one service and mastering that. And because of that, we are trying to do as much as we possibly could, even though, one, we didn't know who our target audience was. So we were trying to kind of speak to everyone, but we're attracting no one. We were basically generalizing the way we marketed our services. And pretty quickly, we found out that we don't necessarily need to attract everyone.
The second thing was we didn't position ourselves as the experts in our industry. This really just caused our clients to assume what they needed rather than allowing us to guide them to their dream outcome based on our services and what we were offering.
Mm-hmm. And 3, we didn't have a clear process that positioned us as their solution, showing them that we are the answer that they need.
And then the last thing, we really just weren't clear on our value prop because we did everything and it costed us so much sales. We were basically saying yes to everyone because of a scarcity mindset. And I'm sure a lot of us have been in that place as a creative as well. But once we changed our process and created a single offer that solved all of our clients' problems, our business started to grow.
So knowing all that, we decided to take a trip up north last September to visit Joey and Christy, but it was really just an excuse to go see their firstborn dog, Max, who is right there in the little...
He is.
Look at him.
And if you don't know, because I've been around for so long with Joey and Christy, Max, I literally love Max.
Yeah.
So that's why he's in here.
If you don't know who he is, go on their stories. He's on there all the time.
But all jokes aside, Max really helped us define what our primary offer was. We did spend 2 days with Joey and Christy kind of mapping out and brainstorming and establishing one core offer that would give our clients exactly what they were looking for in terms of building a foundational brand that was going to actually convert for them and stand out within their clients. So we changed our entire business model and what we were selling because of it. We essentially went from selling any service that any client wanted. So brand design, brand and website design, semi-custom, fully custom. You get the picture. It was extremely exhausting. And again, I'm sure so many of us have been in that position before, and we just couldn't keep up with that type of business model because it wasn't scalable. We were trying to do so much for so many different people. And what we did was we went from trying to serve everyone to creating a very, very clear and efficient primary offer called Brand by Friday. And that included all the foundational elements that our clients needed to see results through their brand. So this is the primary offer that we created. Again, it's called Brand by Friday. And rather than having our clients tell us what they thought that they needed in their brand, we decided to create an offer that showed them exactly what they needed to grow, giving them a brand and a website on an efficient timeline and effective strategy within a 5-day design week and a 5-day strategy week. And what we've learned is that a great primary offer overall is going to consist of providing a solution to a specific problem. 2, it's going to be an efficient process that's duplicatable. I think this is so key here, because if you have a process that is duplicatable, your business then becomes scalable. 3, doing 90% of the legwork for our clients, so that way their effort is minimal, but their results are really, really big. And then 4, building out an entire brand in 1 week, because we value efficiency as branding and website designers, and so do all of the clients we work with. And just to kind of reiterate what kind of happened throughout our business over this last year, 1, we saw that 160% profit increase in the last year. 2, we know exactly who our ideal client is, and we know what will make them actually take action. And then 3, we have a consistent lead generator coming in every single month with brands that are ready to work with us. And that's been a really, really cool thing to see.
So just to kind of wrap things up, the main takeaway is that narrowing down your business is what makes it grow. So focus on a scalable and clear primary offer for a clear ideal audience. And with that said, that kind of wraps up our little segment here. I hope you guys found it helpful. Let us know in the chat, and thanks for tuning in.
So good, you
on.
guys.
Let's go,
it.
guys.
Niche or be niche.
Niche or be niche. I love that.
You guys have crushed it, and I feel like you guys are a trend in the like web design space and everything like that. Like, you guys are so ahead of the ball. Like, you've become like a legit business rather than just like, oh, we're trying to like snag these one-off things all the time. You guys are like actually operating as a business, which is amazing. So you guys are such a dream.
I love that. And what I really want to point out, you guys did such a great job at this, and I'm seeing the word in the chat, is duplicatable.
Yes.
You said duplicatable, guys. Creating a duplicatable, that's gnarly advice, as Eli's saying in the chat. A duplicatable offer is so important to scaling your business and getting out of the hamster wheel, as you said, Becca, right? Of like constantly doing anything and everything for everybody. So guys, that was awesome. We're really grateful you guys could share and just give people so much value. If you guys have questions for Becca and Marcello or about what they talked about, make sure you throw them in the Q&A panel. We're going to be getting to that at the end of the call. Thank you, you two. That was awesome. Guys. All right, we're bringing up our final guest speaker. We are promoting Mr. Colin Yen.
And after this, we're doing our giveaways. We're doing our give you things.
What's
tools,
up, baby?
Stuff. So stay on. Colin's about to deliver something insane.
Yes, so Colin's going to share his screen. While he does that, I'm going to intro Colin. Colin is the man. He's the founder of Camp with Col. This dude's story is just incredible. He went, actually recently, Colin, what month did you go full time? Was it June? July 1st this year, guys, Colin went full time. But last year, he made 6 figures last year, part time, which is incredible. So the dude's a killer backcountry cook. You watch his content, it makes you just want to go snuggle up beside him somewhere on the peak of a mountain and just make food. Like, the dude's stuff is incredible. Backcountry cook, photographer, filmmaker, content creator. He's gotten to work with some incredible brands. And most importantly, he's just a great dude. So Colin's going to be teaching on what he's going to be teaching on. We cannot wait to hear, bro. The floor is yours. Go get it. Take it away, man.
All right, thank you so much. What a sick intro. I don't get that often. So, who here wants to build a brand that everyone in your industry respects? If that's you, just type me in the chat. There's a lot of us. I was like that too. And so, Today, I'm going to be covering how to build a brand that helps you dominate your niche. One thing to be clear about is that you all have a brand. So whether you're in wedding photography, you're in brand photography, you're an influencer, your brand is the experience that you sell. It's the thing that makes a client say, I want to work with you. So today we're going to talk about a perspective change that's going to help you start to receive more inbound inquiries and ultimately help you get paid to do what you love. And so because I started doing this, 90% of my income is inquiry based, and I earn 6 figures as a part-time creator, which is still crazy to me. My plan is to help you get equipped on to get started on that path. So first, a little background. Maybe some of you are feeling this now, but when I started, I used to believe that my passion was a hobby that could never be a full-time job. I'd heard that people were making money off Instagram. I assumed that you had to be a special talent or you needed to have the right relationships and connections. Anyone else like that? Type me in the chat. It's all about those relationships, or so I thought. But I realized slowly that all of my content was a mashup of creating art that made me feel good. It was about imitating other creators and building a brand for me. It was a very self-centered approach. I was tunnel visioned on one group that my content served, and that was myself. There was no strategy, focus, or purpose outside making content that made me feel good about myself. And what I needed to do was take a moment to look outside myself and my art and see that my content needed to affect more than just me if I wanted this to be a full-time job. In other words, I needed to expand my field of vision. Okay, pay attention to this. This is where it gets like real serious, okay? I found the intersection between what I loved, what people were intrigued by, and what brands could see their products in. If you're in weddings, I'd encourage you to think about what this looks like for you and your Instagram or your marketing tool. But this could look like your shooting style, prospective couples, and then your last bubble would be like couples that have already hired you. So let's break this down individually really quickly. So the first bubble is what I love. So this is what most of us and most of you might already be nailing. This is what you love to create, what you're passionate about. For me, that's backcountry cooking and photography. This is super important because this is what keeps us going through tough seasons, through difficulty. This is what we're passionate about. This is what we want to share. So sharing what we love. The next bubble is what we are intrigued by. So this is really key. This is asking the question of how am I giving value to people? When we create and post our creativity, we need to consider who it is we're targeting. When you're scrolling through social media, you'll stop and you'll read a caption. You'll swipe through a carousel to see someone's process of doing something or watch a reel that will help you in some way, shape, or form. It can be something that makes a viewer feel better or makes their life more efficient. We want our content to stop people in their scroll and say, what's that about? So 2 really cool ways that you can do this. First one, assess and ask what your friends and family have been intrigued by lately. What stops them when they're scrolling through their socials? Is it an interesting caption, a capturing hook on a reel, or what is that thing? The second thing, I really like this one, and this is about you start by thinking about a niche that you want to fill, whether that's home improvement, self-growth, or find some Reddit threads. Get in a search chat or Google and start typing in that like search, how do I, or help me, ... and see what the first things that pop up are. You're going to start to get a sense of what people in that niche are needing help with. And once you have that information, you can go make a reel or post, or you can start strategizing and building your content around something that helps them solve that problem. It's learning how to find what problems people are dealing with and hitting those things. The last bubble is what brands can see their products in, or what for weddings, it's what couples who have already hired you already want. These are the people that are paying you. So obviously this is priority. We need to make sure that their product gets promoted or highlighted in the content. If you're not showing a brand in your content, there's no need for them to pay you. There's no desire for them to hire you. And so in your content, you got to do what you can to showcase different brands in your content. Create content that brands can see themselves in, see value in, and showcase how their product help you make your life more efficient or better in any way, shape, or form. We can get caught doing usually one or two of these things, but the intersection of all three, what you love, what people are intrigued by, and where brands can see their products in, is where you're going to find that sweet spot. And the more that you continue to nail that sweet spot between the three of these, the more you start to get known in the niche that you want to dominate. And so just to recap this, 90% of my income is inquiry based, and I don't have time to pitch because of all the projects that are coming in. So now that you know this, time for you to start cooking too. So here's your takeaway. Find the intersection between what you love, what people are intrigued by, and what brands can see their products in, and then build your brand around that. Joey says Creativ Rise is all about bonuses. So I have one for you. Your bonus takeaway is that it will change over time. Don't ever get too certain. Keep learning. What people are into, trends, and all of that will change over time. So that bubble's always going to be changing. So you need to constantly adapting your content, your brand to adjust what is going on. Do that Reddit search every once in a while, once per month, once every 2 months. Bring it into your workflow. As brands, we need to be adaptable and changing all the time. So that's it for me. I hope that was helpful.
Dude,
That
let's
was
go. You're
great.
cooking, baby.
So good.
I love that line. Now that you know, it's time to start cooking.
Now we're all hungry too after seeing all of your
Let's
photos.
go.
I'm like,
Guys, pump them up
dang.
in the chat.
Yes,
Pump them up
Paul.
in the chat.
Let's freaking go.
Amazing,
awesome.
Colin. Colin, that was so good. I love, I mean, everything you said. The one thing that I just want to just continue to encourage you guys to listen to Colin when he said the part in that little Venn diagram there, the third one, what brands can see their products in. I love that you brought that up because that is so fundamentally important. I think it's a quick little call out, an audit, maybe an audit for everybody who's on this call. Or if you're trying to work with brands, are you actually doing the work that you could be getting paid for? Or are you just shooting mountains that are beautiful photos, but brands can't see how they could ever have their products engage with that? So, dude, that was awesome.
That's great.
That was so good.
So good.
Guys, keep pumping them up in the chat. That was
Yes.
amazing. Colin,
That was
thank you,
great.
brother.
Thank you so much for being
That
here.
was so good. Well,
Appreciate
guys,
it.
we're going to share our screen again. One more little round of applause for all of our guest experts.
Yes.
That was so fun. Throw it in the chat. Was that cool? Like, did you guys
What was like a highlight thing you learned?
Yeah.
Maybe like throw a quick little like.
What's a takeaway that you're taking home? Throw it in the chat. Let's see. What do we got here?
Scroll down.
Sorry,
There's so many messages.
We're scrolling so far on the chat here. Funnels.
I love it. Everything pitching is only as good as your ability to pull out a problem.
So good. It's time to start cooking. Hey.
Cooking with
Yes.
Colin.
Duplicatable. I love that. You guys are taking
Yeah,
something from
Lou.
every single person there. That is amazing.
That's so good.
So cool, guys. I love it. Well, guys, we got a lot more. So we're about to get into some Q&A stuff in a second here.
Yeah.
Don't go away.
Yeah,
I hope you guys are having a
giveaway.
blast. We got some of those giveaways coming up. This is awesome.
Awesome. Okay. So type in the chat if you feel closer to your next 6 figures already. Like even just being here, the energy, the momentum, all the value that you learned. Type a me in the chat if you're like, okay, yes, I feel closer to my next 6 figures already. Okay, amazing. Literally typing it out. I love it. So close I can taste it. Yes. Okay, amazing. At the same time, you maybe also probably are considering what are some of the roadblocks? What are some of the things that are going to hold you back from actually implementing what you learned? How are you actually going to build a funnel? How are you actually going to build a brand? You're already anticipating the roadblocks that you'll hit outside of what this workshop did or taught you or whatever. Let's get honest. Type me in the chat if you're like, ooh, actually, there are some things that I think might be hitting me as a roadblock. Type me in the chat. Just be super honest for a second. Absolutely. Totally. I completely agree. So here is the creative reality that I think a lot of people on this call are going to resonate with this. That this is the reality, is that we always see the tip of the icebergs of everybody else's creative business. I know that I felt this way a lot.
So true.
I know Joey's felt this way, and I know you probably feel this way as well. You look at somebody else's creative business from afar, and they're like posting on Instagram, oh, I got this gig, or like, look at all these inquiries that are coming in, or I'm traveling for work, or I hit 6 figures, or oh my gosh, look at this amazing work, and all of this stuff. And you look at someone else's business, and you go, wait, I feel like I'm doing the same things that I'm seeing. I feel like I'm posting on Instagram. I feel like I'm talking to the same type of person they are. I feel like I'm posting these edits and my quality of work's just as high. Like, but why am I not getting any of the things that they are getting? Why am I stuck at this income level? Why am I stuck with these types of clients that I don't want to be working with? Why can't I break through that niche and go into the new industry that I want to be in? Why am I stuck? And why does it feel like what they're doing is so different, but they're getting different results than I am? And the reason that is the iceberg effect. It is everything that happens below the surface of everything that you don't see happening in their business. Building six-figure offers, actually figuring out your pricing and not getting held back by it. It's creating a brand that actually attracts your ideal clients. It's understanding deal flows. It's mastering sales, not just being afraid of them.
Yes.
It's scaling a team. It's managing your money. It's building a lead generation system that books you out 2 to 3 months in advance with a wait list. It's networking. It's all these business things that happen below the surface. Creative businesses above the line of water tends to be all the creative fluff and like the achievements and things like that you see. But what happens underneath the surface is really what causes a business to really grow. But it's all the stuff that you normally don't see. And it's definitely the stuff that people don't ever share. Did you know that 92% of creative businesses never hit 6 figures? Did you know that 50% of creative businesses never even hit 50K a year?
It's shocking. It's sad. We want to change that.
That is literally why we exist. And it's because they lack what's under the surface. You know, this screenshot that we posted earlier in this workshop, these are all people who have focused on things beneath the surface. They're all those things that I listed. These people have focused on those things, not just tip of the iceberg,
including
stuff.
all the guest experts.
Including
you guys
all
just
the
heard
guest
of, right?
experts. So they all have that in common, that they're all focusing on things below the surface, the stuff that actually grows your business. And these people also all have something in common. They all chose to invest in their businesses to actually figure out the business side of their business, not just the creative, which they all went through this exact program, which we are so excited to tell you about, and that is the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind.
Yeah, so today's a really big day. We're about to get to Q&A, so again, stick with us. But this is a really big day because for 8 months now, a lot of you guys who are on this call have been waiting for the next round, which is round 12 of the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind. So we've been running this mastermind and innovating it over the last 5 years. John says, I've been waiting. If you also have been waiting, throw it in the chat. If you've been waiting like 8+ months, we have not opened this thing. And so we're really excited because today, for the first time in 8 months, we sent out some of the early access applications to people that are looking to fill one of the 35 spots that we were taking for the next round of the mastermind, which is what all those guest experts just went through. Colin went through it. Hayley went through it. Owen, Becca and Marcello went through it. A lot of the people, everybody in this frame, they've all gone through those as well. So if you're wondering what it is a 6-week incubator to help you get the tools, the strategies, and community to build a 6-figure business foundation, not necessarily a 6-figure business in 6 weeks. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is helping you build the foundation to build a 6-figure business in 6 weeks, which is really, really cool. So early access just opened today for everybody who's been on the wait list, which we are so excited about. So a couple little, explanations of what somebody's experience can look like. Well, this is Chanel. Chanel was on the call. I don't know if she's still on. I think she might have had something tonight that she was texting us about. I saw her name pop up on my phone. But Chanel says, Creativ Rise tied all the loose ends I had in my creative business that helped me manage my money better. Who doesn't want that? Gave me an incredible community. That's the best thing. And 10x my income. Well, that's a pretty good cherry on top. In just 6 weeks, I wish I could go through it 365 days a year. During the mastermind, we made $56,000 in just 6 weeks and then went on to hit their first 6-figure year. Chanel and Ryan are a husband-wife duo team from Newport Beach. They're awesome, super, super cool people. Then we got Brian. Brian is from Seattle. He is dominating the real estate space. We actually just filmed a podcast with him because his story on building his real estate business is amazing. So we cannot wait for you to hear this story. It's coming out next week, I think, on the podcast. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. But he says a lot of things. But he said, before I was, inside of the Creativ Rise Mastermind, I was feeling unmotivated and longing for community. After joining the mastermind, I not only found an incredible community, but a space where I felt motivated, challenged, and supported. And now he says, through the guidance and support of Joey and Christy and the Creativ Rise family. That's what's so cool about the mastermind. It's not just us. We've got a lot of the answers, but when you put a lot of great creatives in a room and everyone starts helping each other, no gatekeeping, it's incredible what can happen to your business. He says, I'm now on track to not only break my first 6-figure year. This was a couple years ago when he wrote this, but also reach his first multiple 6-figure year. And for the last couple of years, Brian has been doing multiple 6 figures, which is incredible. So if you've ever bought a course and you've never touched it, put me in the chat. I'm about to put me in the chat because I've done the same thing. And the reason why this is because humans are not super accountable, and I'm included in that. I once bought a real estate course, never touched it. I still have not opened it. That was the worst. I remember sitting in the car, we're like, should we buy this course? It was like $1,000 and we never touched it. And I'm like, that was such a waste of money because there was no accountability to it, right?
Yes.
So if you're like us, you've probably done that. Have you ever bought a course and got stuck? Maybe you did open it, but you didn't actually ever complete it, or you didn't learn anything that it was implementable because you're like, well, I get the concept, but how does this apply to me? Anybody ever felt like that? Or maybe you even watch a YouTube video on like how to get better at sales as a creative or how to put together a pitch deck, but you don't know how it applies to you. Well, this is a super common problem that we see in the creative space. Or have you ever bought something you thought was going to grow your business and it didn't grow your business? A camera body? Anybody ever invest in the new Canon camera, or maybe you're on the Nikon gang, maybe you're buying a Red camera and you think this is the thing that's going to grow my business. And then a couple months later, you're like, wait a second, like this hasn't helped me. This isn't actually grown my business. Well, the thing about cameras is equipment doesn't actually make you money. It just helps you fulfill the job once you've sold the job, right? Exactly. So what makes you money? Well, learning how to get business strategy. So what does the Creativ Rise Mastermind actually include? We're going to rip through this real quick.
Why it's different than a course.
Why it's different than a course is that we do 6 weekly coaching calls with you. They're about 2 to 3 hours per call. And these are super fun because they're live. They're just like this, but you're on Zoom where we see all of your faces and you're getting to engage and go back and forth, which is a massive predictor on how you can not get stuck in your growth, but how you can actually scream through that and actually start to implement things. Second, we have a private mastermind library. If you like the content from tonight, you would love the content that we've got inside of the 6-week mastermind. It is everything you need to build a 6-figure foundation for your business. And the best part is you actually get lifetime access to it. So all of this content together here, we valued at about $7,200, lifetime access to it, 19 modules, over 15 hours of content. The best part, this might be my favorite part about the Creativ Rise Mastermind, is you get put into a pod. A pod is where you get put with 2 other businesses who are your accountability group for the 6 weeks. And then Christy and I get to actually meet with your pod to create your 6-figure game plan, your roadmap on what you are going to be implementing over the 6 weeks to create a lot of change in your business. So again, going back to not ever doing anything with the education you're buying, this solves that issue because you actually have people keeping you accountable and basically forcing you to make sure you're making changes. We got a 24/7 group chat, which is super fun, valued at $1,000. Contract template. Have you ever wondered, oh, I'm so nervous if I'm going to get screwed over on this? Well, steal our contracts. We want to give them to you. No gatekeeping on that. Give you our legit contracts. I just sent one off and had one signed and come back to me literally last week from the same contract template that you are going to be getting. Valued at $750. Field journals. We just ordered these today. All the new field journals we're picking up on Friday and shipping them out. They are basically physical books. I think I've got one here somewhere. I got one right here. They're physical books that we ship you that have all of the content that you are going to get inside of the modules, and it gets shipped to you so you can actually implement and learn the things that you're learning inside of the videos. And last but not least, when you tie all this together, what this looks like is $13,038. Now, we could charge this, and I'm sure there would be some of you guys that'd be like, this is worth it. I'm going to get an ROI on this. But Christy and I, being Christy and I, are like, we are trying to make this stuff as obviously accessible as possible. As we started, 5 years ago, our aim was to go, how do we just help creatives break the creative struggle? How can we do this in the most accessible way possible, get them the content they need, the community they need, and the accountability they need? So we went, let's get out our big axe and slash that thing. And over the last couple of years, this is what you can join the mastermind for. So it's $2,797 for everything listed in that for the entire 6-week mastermind experience, which is awesome. So couple quick things here. If you're nervous about spending the money or investing into your business, whether you invest in this or it's something else, you got to start thinking about what actually creates an ROI in your business. So one quick thing to point out here, which I think is really cool. We're really proud of this. On average, our 6-week mastermind turns out members getting a 4x return. Our average member gets a 4x return on their money. So 4x on about $3,000, just under $3,000. So most people get about a $12,000 return in investment within 2 months, about 2 months of joining the 6-week mastermind, which is incredible, right? Would you take that ROI? I think a lot of people would take that ROI. Beyond that, we've seen dozens of people go through and make 20 to 56K in the 6-week timeline.
This is produced 98. Yeah, or 98.
Owen made 98. This is produced over 100 6-figure business owners over the years, which has been really cool, and dozens of multiple 6-figure boners. Big 6-figure, that is not what I meant to say. 6-figure business owners. Everyone has a slip up every once in a while. If you missed that, I said 6-figure boners. 6-figure business owners.
Clip that.
There we go. Someone's going to clip that. That one was for you,
I
Joe.
Knew Joe would love
that one was for you, Joe.
I knew Joe was going to say something.
So who is this for? The brand photographers and filmmakers, wedding photographers and filmmakers, social media managers, agency owners, designers, influencers, content creators, any service-based creative business. If you're making over 100K, we've had you in there. We've helped you stabilize there and go to multiple 6 figures. If you're making under 100K, we can help you get there. We've done it time and time again. It's business strategy, so it's applicable for everybody, which is awesome. So here's the dates. This is probably what you're wondering. We're about to jump into Q&A. Here's the dates for you. The mastermind starts September 15th, so it's coming up. We are going to be filling the 35 spots starting tonight. Well, we've actually already started. We took a bunch of early access applications today, starting tonight, and we are getting started on September 15th, and we are ending 6 weeks from that, which is really cool.
Yep, October 26th. So those are the dates. Again, it is, okay, time commitment real quick, just for anybody that's wondering if you're like, I'm a busy person or I'm doing school at the same time or all this kind of stuff. All the time commitment is, we literally designed this for the busy business owner, is every Monday, educational modules are dropped for you to watch at your own timing. No modules longer than what, 25?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
The max amount of content you will get in a week to watch is like under an hour and a half, because we want it to be implementable. We want you to watch stuff and then have time to actually implement, so you can learn and grow, right?
Yeah. And then every Thursday we've got a group coaching call. It's like exactly like this, except everybody can see everybody's faces and everyone else can talk. And what we do is we do breakout sessions. It's super interactive. It's actually a Zoom call with a ton of momentum, which you don't get a lot these days. They're a ton of fun. They're like literally lightning bolts every single week. It's so fun. You'll be able to book a pod coaching call with us in your pod at your own time frame. And then we've got a 24/7 fire Instagram group chat that fires literally every day. Don't wait for the next one. I'm just going to tell you that. If you're okay with where you are right now financially in your business, or fulfillment in your business, or feeling burnt out in your business, if you're fine being that in the exact spot in a year, then I would say, yeah, don't join. Like, this is not for you.
Oh, totally.
It's for the people that are like, no, I don't want to be in the same place in 6 months. I don't want to be in the same place in a year or in 2 months, whatever it is. So don't wait. And we'd love to have you be a part
so
of
here's
this
the important dates, guys. Again, applications are closing on September 8th, but it always sells out prior to that. We're only taking 35 spots. We've already got, I think 15 applications came in right before this, because we sent out an early access.
20 now.
Okay, so spots we haven't given any of them out. We're going to be doing that tonight, but it always sells out. So that's why we always push the early access list, because it gets you $100 off. It gets you $1,000 worth of bonus courses, and you actually get a spot, which is cool. So if you want any information, guys, about the mastermind, go to Instagram right now. Just take 2 seconds. We're jumping into Q&A in 10 seconds. Take 2 seconds, jump onto Instagram, go to Creativ Rise's Instagram account, and just DM us the word round 12. And we will get you all the information that you need to look at the mastermind and see if it's a good fit for you. Christy and I are not trying to sell you on this. We're trying to make you aware of the opportunity, because if it's a great fit for you, then we can create some awesome change in your business with you, and your life will change because of that. If it's not a great fit, it's not a great fit, and that's totally cool too, right? So we are just sold out, as we said at the beginning of this call, on helping creatives break the creative struggle, get paid to do what they love, make 6 figures, be financially independent, and this is the greatest vehicle to do that. And we're really excited about it. People have been waiting months to do it. So DM us, again, the word round 12, and we will get you everything. And here's the quick little bonus for people that are going to do that. Here's one of the 2 bonuses. If you do DM us the word round 12, also DM us the word social audit if you want to potentially join the mastermind. And then eventually, when we chat with you about it, and if it is a good fit for you, if you did DM us social audit, we'll give you a free social media audit of your entire brand online, and give you some pointers on some ways you can make your brand more structured to sell on the internet and do better so that you can attract more clients.
So social audit, DM social audit to Creativ Rise if you are interested in joining the mastermind. And if you do get accepted, we will do a social media audit for you, but only if you do it right now. If you do not DM us social audit
right now thing. Do it right now.
If you do not do it right now, and it's 2 hours from now, and you're like, oh, social audit, and you go through the whole mastermind process, and too late.
Yeah.
So do it right now.
Yeah. And Eli, you said, I really appreciate the honesty. Well, we appreciate you being here. And yeah, that it truly is our honest take on this. Anyone who's been through the mastermind knows this. We are not doing none of this with Creativ Rise is to sell people into this. We just honestly lie in bed at night thinking about, man, we've just got some stuff that can really help creatives. And we've got a great vehicle, which is the mastermind, to do so. And it sells out every time. So we know the right people are going to come that need the help and are excited about the growth. Because here's the other thing too. You might need help right now, but you might not be in a season of your life where you're actually ready to grow. Like, growth takes work. Again, this is not a get rich quick scheme. Yeah. Owen did not make $98,000 in the 6-week mastermind by sitting around. Owen was sending out 250 pitches a month, making stuff happen, getting our feedback. We're helping him, right? He put in the work. So this is for the people that are willing to do that, which is great. Joe's killing me in the chat. Joe went through the mastermind, and Joe's constantly the king of the chat. He loves it. So here's the second bonus that we want to give you guys just for being on the call. Stand all the way to the end, guys. No, it's not the end. We're jumping into Q&A right now, which will go for another probably hour. But
yeah, so if you are unsure about pricing, if pricing feels scary, uncertain, you're like, how do I price this brand project? I want to approach this brand. I want to pitch something. I don't know what to price them. Or they came out and they want this many deliverables. How do I price that? We have a pricing calculator for you. If you are in the wedding space and you're like, I want to price anchor my packages. I want to hit 6 figures. How many weddings do I need to do? What do I price at? How do I actually structure these packages? We have a free tool that you can get right now. Go to creativrise.com/price. Oh, I typed that wrong.
Creativrise.com
we'll drop it in the thing.
Pricing calculator. Christy's going to put the link in there right now.
It is totally free.
Don't get distracted and use it yet. You can sign up. It's a free account. It's not going anywhere. Just open the link, keep it there, but come back to this meeting. Yes. Make sure you don't get distracted.
I am also going to drop...
because we're getting into Q&A, baby.
This is also where you can get early access for the mastermind. Again, you can apply tonight. If you want early access, which means you get $100 off. So instead of 2767, it's 2667, I believe.
2697.
Something like that.
$100 off, yeah.
You get $100 off, and you get access to over $1,000 worth of bonus courses if you get accepted. But you have to apply before this Sunday. So this Sunday is the deadline.
Right now. Not right now. Open up the link. Don't do it right now.
Do it right now
because we are getting cooking for the Q&A. But before we do that, let's do the $100 cash giveaway. Okay. We did a little raffle thing. Can we get a drum roll in the chat? Anybody type drum roll?
If this person is not
this person is not on the call right now, we will be moving on to the next person that came up in the raffle. So drum roll, please. The official winner of the $100 cash. You send us whatever Venmo, Cash App, or anything, and we are going to send you some $100 tonight. Is
Nate Reimers.
Nate Reimers, let's go.
I'm saying that right.
Nate, throw me in the chat if you're here.
Is Nate? Search his name. See if he's here.
Hey, let's go. What's up, Nate?
Nate, DM Creativ Rise with, if you're in the U. I don't know where you are, but if you're in the US, DM us your Venmo or whatever, or Cash App, and we will get
we'll get you some cold hard cash money, baby.
Let's go.
Glad you are here. Guys, we are jumping into Q&A. I am going to drop the screen share. I'm going to the Q&A panel right now. If you have a question and you would like us to answer it, throw your question in there and we will bring it up. I'm going to answer this question first right off the point from Dagan. Dagan, if you're still on the call, please say me in the chat, brother. You still here?
You are still here.
Let's go. Dagan, what do you think about this? What do you think about me bringing you up real quick?
He's like, hold on, let me fix my hair.
If you want, I can bring you up and we can chat about this because this is a really good question. I think a lot of people I've promoted you. Accept it if you want or don't accept it. I know you might be in the middle of nowhere.
Probably like in the middle of an airport lobby.
Yes, Dagan's always on similar to Colin, always on a mountain peak somewhere.
Yes.
What's up, Dagan? Good to see you, brother.
Wisdom teeth taken out in another country. One of those.
There he is. So Dagan, what's up, baby? Good to see you, man. Oh, can't hear you. You're muted. Go for it. Unmute yourself.
Dagan.
You got me now?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
How's it going?
Sweet. Going good. How you guys going?
We're going great, bro. Great to see you. I love your question. So your question is, what does a funnel look like in the brand space? That's a really, really
Yeah.
good question. Hayley obviously gave a phenomenal example of a funnel in the wedding space, but in the brand space, here's to follow Hayley's formula. And Hayley, if you're still here, chime in on this in the chat. To follow Hayley's formula, the first thing we got to do when we think about funnel is we have to think about who our ideal client is. And then we have to think about a problem that they would have that we can pique their curiosity on and then give them some type of solution to solve. So Dagan, ideal client, say it real quick.
We go Arc'teryx.
Okay, Arc'teryx. So an outdoors brand, all right?
Yeah, outdoor
So
brand, yeah.
think about what are some of the things that you think the Arc'teryx creative team or marketing team sits around a boardroom thinking about and talking about? What are some of the things that they go, we got to figure this out?
Yeah, I guess like content that speaks to their ideal client.
Totally, yeah. Content speaks to their ideal client. They probably spend a lot of time thinking about the new ways the platforms are changing and how they
Yeah.
can take advantage of that, So why don't we land with that? So what I would do, pick the ideal client. So you got an outdoors brand. And what you could do is it could be super simple. You could make a 10-minute video. There you record yourself on Loom. Speaking of Loom, the tool I talked about earlier on the call, record yourself on Loom, maybe with a Canva slide deck, and you are going through what you would say, and you're really good at this because your content's awesome. What you would say are the 5 best ways to showcase a product on the internet so that a consumer can see how that product would fit into their life.
Yeah.
So you make a short 10-minute video showcasing, let's say it's 5 pieces of content you shot that are all showcasing products in different ways that you think do well online for brands. And you just go, what's up, guys? If you're a brand owner, I'm going to teach you this. You teach them quickly on the video. And then all you do, put that video like in your bio on Instagram or in your link tree or something like that. And it just says, if you're a brand owner and you want to learn what I would consider to be the 5 best types of content for consumers to see how their products fit in or your products fit into their life, click here and watch this video. They click here and watch this video. All you do, you capture their email, make them go through a form first on your website. It then directs them straight to the video. And now you go, oh, Dagan got a notification. Somebody just submitted the form. You look at it. Oh, that's crazy. It's one of the people who's a marketing intern at Arc'teryx or at, this brand or smaller brand. And you eventually build your way there. But point is, you're creating some type of living asset that people can go through and they can be educated on to go, you know what, this dude Dagan is smart. Like he's got not only really good content, but his content strategy is smart. We should consider bringing this dude in for a meeting and talking to him about doing some content. See how that works?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, I think that the thing that like felt hard about it is that, the like potential audience that you need to reach is like very, very limited compared to like potentially like an everyday person.
Yeah, and that's true, right? Because you would have a lot of people that are interested in the outdoors. You would have a lot of photographers, a lot of creatives following you. But for every probably maybe let's say 1,000 people that see your post, you might have one person that's genuinely a decent lead. And so if you're just constantly, it's in the bottom of your posts, at the very bottom of your captions, it could say something like, hey, if you're a brand owner and you're interested in learning this, hit the link in my bio. Like you got to constantly put it in places where oncoming traffic could see your content and they could potentially see that. We call them, lead magnets. That's a part of the funnel. That's what it is. It's a lead magnet where you capture their attention. So I would have it in the bottom of all your posts and I would be directing people to go to the link in your bio. I would have it on your website. When someone's on your website, you should create a pop-up that comes up after 30 or 40 seconds. Hey, want to watch this free video, on how I believe these are the 5 things. So it's just putting it in the populated areas because, Dagan, the truth is, and we'll wrap with this. This is a great question because I think a lot of creatives think this, but I have so many people that aren't my ideal client looking at my content because they don't work with those brands. Has any type of brand ever reached out to you before because they saw your social content?
Yeah, I've had a few, but that's usually in like an influencer sort of capacity.
Yeah,
more
totally.
so than like commercial images.
Yeah, but so it means I would probably argue though that any brand that's ever going to hire you is going to check your socials first, right?
Yeah.
So let's say they're comparing you between 3 other photographers. They click on Dagan's social media and they see that video. They go, "Oh, what's this? I'm going to watch." And they go, "Let's hire this dude. This guy's legit. He knows his stuff."
Yeah. For
So
sure.
even, this is the last thing I'll say, Dagan, even if you use it as a cold pitch tool, hey, really love your brand. I think we should work together one day. You know, here's something that I've been creating that I think could be valuable for your marketing team. Just check it out. And if you ever want to get back to me about it, would love to chat. Like a very non-invasive pitch. It's just trying to give them value and ask for nothing in return. You could also just copy the link to that puppy and send it out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Awesome.
Let's go, bro. Great question. Hey,
Really
good to see you.
Great to see you, Dagan.
Yeah, likewise. Yes.
Awesome.
Love it, guys. All right, we're gonna jump into the next.
Okay, I'm gonna touch on this question really quickly, and it's from John Williams. He said, "Have you guys or anyone else had any experience with Google's new spam email requirements, DMARC, SPF, all that kind of stuff, and as they relate to email deliverability?" I've been hearing a ton about this. Of like, oh, I feel like my stuff's always ending in junk. Like I feel like I'm never getting responses. Absolutely, there are more filters than ever when it comes to email, and that's why you can't trust only utilizing email. This is like one of the biggest things that I see that I just want to like shake people and be like, guys, 2 modes of communication every single time you pitch a client or you respond to an inquiry. 2 modes of communication.
100%.
You never want to depend on just email. So if you are in the wedding space and you've got someone that's inquiring of you, they submit their email. You're like, oh, I'm so excited. I send an email back. It's like perfect email, perfect pricing guide. It's got a Calendly link set up in there. I'm automated. And you don't hear anything and it's crickets and you just keep emailing them and emailing them and emailing them and you're wondering what's happening. Okay. 1, implement Loom. You can actually see if someone has opened your email.
Yeah.
If you opened the link, if you use Loom, so then you'll have a clue of whether or not they're actually getting it. Also have a second form of communication. Send them a DM that has a quick little video of you saying like, hey, so excited, just saw your inquiry. Love that you're getting married in X place. Here's a little like personalized thing about that. Just shot you an email with everything. Let me know if you don't get it. Make sure you check junk. Can't wait to chat. Let's talk soon. Or shoot them a text or go to them if they're a store. Walk into the store if you're a brand. Have 2 forms of communication at all times. Like we tell this to people all the time, and that's like literally just like an 85% chance of someone responding to you. So 2 forms of communication, even if it's just something super simple, just to touch base with them, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the smartest things, guys, you hear all night. If you're not doing that, you have to. It is like the only way to actually get responses from people.
And then I just want to quickly do this one really quick. Brooke in the chat said, thoughts on offering to shoot free weddings, an 8-hour package for free. They just pay accommodations and flights, extra timing, etc. would be charged to get more weddings overseas or out of state, and the best way to do this. So I'm not against you wanting to offer something for free. Other wedding photographers will be like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. Who cares? It's not their business. They don't pay the bills.
Yeah.
You get to decide what you want to do with your own business, which is very exciting. So if you want to book more destination weddings, more out of state weddings, then yeah, you're going to need content that is of those things. So what I would do, instead of just being like, you get someone that reaches out to you and just giving it to them for free, or like trying to find someone's wedding, I would turn it into a full-on giveaway. Make it like a really fun thing for your business that you're doing, that you're giving back to your community, that you're doing a big giveaway, and then give parameters on what you're looking for. If you're getting married outside of whatever country you're living in, let's say you're in Canada, you has to be outside of Canada, or it has to be outside of the US, whatever it is, give some stipulations, give a time limit of how long the giveaway is going for. Make sure it's long enough. Like I would give like a full week. Make it super fun. Even push some ad money behind that. Make a really fun reel, post it on TikTok, get some traction, and utilize it to just build your brand more than just getting content for one wedding. So I would just make that into like more of like you're giving back to your community rather than like you're asking to shoot someone's wedding for free. That's how I would do that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that either at all. I think it's a great idea. Real quick, Avery asked the question. Great question. Great to see you, by the way. Would you do an automated email campaign for each email that registers? Absolutely. That's a great way to nurture them and let them know what your business does, right? As soon as they sign up to watch that free video we were talking about with Dagan, they automatically get subscribed to an email sequence, again, through some type of email marketing provider. Really cheap. There's even free and paid versions of things like that. MailChimp's a really popular one. But that's super smart, Avery. Absolutely. We would always encourage that you would have some type of, we would call that nurturing experience on the back of capturing that lead outside of them just watching that video. So that's great. All right. We're going to go through the chat here, or through the question panel here. Owen, are you still on? If so, Would love if you would answer this. I'm going to search you here. We've heard the answer to this, but it's going to be way better if Owen answers this for you. Kai, your question. Kai, if you're still here, Kai, put me in the chat or say what up so we know you're still here. Kai asked the question, a question for Owen. When pitching so many brands and following up every few days, how do you / what software do you use to keep track of all the follow-ups you need to do? This is a great question. What you got, Owen?
No, that's a great question. It's funny. I probably do like the simplest thing you could ever do, which works for me. I just have like a Google Sheets spreadsheet, and every day just track like company name, who I email, the date that I hit them up, and then the follow-up date, which again is like every 3 to 5 days. And then I'll have their contact in there. And like every day I wake up, the first thing I do is I check that list so I know exactly what I have to do. I know there's other softwares, so you can use HubSpot and stuff like that, but that's just how I do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, simple scales. Simple can scale. I'm sure adding technology into that would be nice and could make it easier, but at the same time, simple scales. Is there another one for Owen up here?
Another one for Owen.
All right, Owen, hold tight, bro.
I got all day.
Go up a little bit.
I see for Colin.
Owen.
For Owen.
Here we go. In regards to locking in retainers to get to the 25K a month, is that through multiple clients at, call it 4K a month package, or is it a couple clients at, say, maybe 12.5K package? How do you target companies with the goal to sign larger retainers with higher production value? Is it name of the game quantity?
Totally. Yeah. So it's a couple clients at that like 4,000 to 5,000 a month range. What was the second part of that question?
How do you target companies with a goal to sign larger retainers with higher production value?
Yeah. So this is actually the biggest thing. So I failed at this before doing the mastermind, and I would try and just like jump right into a retainer. But one thing we learned is test runs are huge. So like I'll jump on a call with someone, I'll lead with the retainer, and it'll be, but if, because we've never worked together, we'd be happy to offer a 1-month test run before locking into a 3, 6, or 12-month deal. That has been like an absolute game changer because one, I don't think there's a lot of agencies or, creatives that offer that. And it's also like that crawl, walk, run approach where it's like, let's work together. If it's a good fit, like awesome, let's keep it going. If not, like no hard feelings. It just takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's been a huge thing.
That's a great question. Owen, what do you think the percentage of people that you do test runs for that end up staying on as a client is?
It's pretty high, like 70% maybe. But the other part of that is like that I had to learn is you can't get discouraged if it doesn't turn into a retainer, because it doesn't necessarily mean like you did a bad job. It could just be like, all right, they wanted to try this out now, and then like maybe even like a year or two, like revisit it kind of thing. So that's something I had to learn as well, like off the bat.
But dude, I ask you the question because 7 out of 10 is huge because Owen, your typical retainer, a lot of your retainers are like $4,000 a month, right? So that's 48 grand a year. So if you had to 30% of the time not get a deal, but you had to shoot for free for a month. And when you say a test shoot too, this is the other thing we should clarify. They're not full-blown campaigns. They're test shoots, right? Like you're not doing like a huge amount of content for these companies in the test shoot. I think we had talked about that.
Like
it's a smaller down, scaled down version of it, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So for you to have to do that, yes, is it you putting your neck out, doing some free work, and it could potentially turn in them not hiring you. But to close 7 out of 10 test runs at around 4K per month, I mean, guys, this is just, you start doing the math. It's so smart. Nolan, that's a great question. I hope you're still here. I hope you're still getting the value.
I would also say focusing on what problem you're solving is also really important. Like if you're trying to get large retainers, you better have a large ROI on the fact of what you're doing. So like if it's just, as we kind of said, like it's just organic content just here and there, like it's probably not going to be like a super, crazy amount of money that this company is going to want to put towards that. But if you're focusing on something like paid advertising, or if like they are a style of company, maybe it's more of a B2B company. It's less of like a flashy outdoors brand, but it's something that has a ton of money and it leans on lead generation like crazy because they're not naturally getting pitched by a bunch of influencers every day and there's not a ton of competition for it. Focusing on more of those B2B companies that maybe are a little less sexy, but they have way bigger budgets and they would be happy to throw you, you know, 10K per month to be running, you know, content for their business, whether it's trucking company, whatever, something like that. Focusing on different styles of companies too is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Let's focus on a couple more quick questions here for Owen, because there was a lot of them in the chat. You guys ask a lot of great questions. I love this question right here, Owen. I don't know if everybody can see this, but it says, Owen, what does your follow-up sequence actually look like? And then what are you offering? You somewhat touched on what your offerings are. Give us a quick example of a simple offering that you rinse and repeat, copy and paste a bunch. And then how do you follow up? What might be in your follow-up emails? Because this is great.
Totally. Yeah. So as far as like what my offer is, and this was another thing I learned from you guys, is like, you don't just want to offer like X amount of photos and X amount of videos. You want to really speak to like the outcomes, the ROI, what that, you know, what those images and videos are going to do. So it's like, yes, I have like, you know, X amount of photos, X amount of videos, but then like written into my package, it's like, you know, 10 photos to build, or 30 photos to build out your social calendar. And then it's like, you know, 3 reels to test and paid ads, right? Like that's, you know, it's not like they can take it and they can use it for organic and just run it on their social, but like really showing them that like, hey, you can use this for this too, has been super helpful. Big thing is like time delay, turnaround time, like showing, hey, we can get all this content turned around, you know, in 3 or 5 days, and it's only going to take 30 minutes of your time a month, like showing that we can give them, you know, their dream outcome and do it quickly.
Yes.
Has been huge too.
So good.
That's so good, bro.
Like,
I love that
side of things. It's like, oh, like it's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, guys.
If you're in the wedding space, offer 24-hour turnaround as an upsell. Like that is like an immediate, like
$1,000 upsell for 24 hours. You think it's crazy? People will pay it. People will pay it. All right, Owen, one more here that I think is a great question. This is from AO. Owen, do you find people get put off by you saying what they might need help with? I would be worried that people might get offended that I would be pointing out their flaws. This is a golden question. We talk about this all the time in the mastermind. What's your answer to this, brother?
No, that's such a good question. So the biggest thing, and actually if you reference that like pitching checklist I talked about when I was talking, like that's super helpful. So that the first point on there is, you know, run an audit on their Instagram and point out what they're doing well. So like you kind of we'll call it like a compliment sandwich, right? Like you come at them like, hey, you guys are killing it, like here, here, and here, right? And then you're like, but this area I think we can improve upon. So you're not just like, hey, you guys suck, like you should do this. You're, you know, hey, you guys are doing such a good job, but like I think we can tweak things and improve in this area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I haven't had anyone be like annoyed.
Yeah,
so.
Totally.
I think one way also you can say it is kind of like, I know that you guys want X. This will help you get there even faster or better or whatever it is. Like, it's almost like getting on the same side of the table as them and going like, I can tell that this, or like empathetically saying like, I know that, you know, being consistent on socials is such a grind. Like, I know that you probably have so many other things you can be doing that focusing on this can sometimes be so difficult. I want to make that easier for you. You know, rather than being like, you suck, why don't you post more on Instagram? It's more like, I know it can be so hard. It's like the empathetic side and then being on the same team as them. Oh, and I know you do that so well. And I think it's helpful for all the brand people out here trying not to offend people.
I love it. All right. Last question for Owen. And then if he's still on later, we might bring him back up. I think this is a great question. Where did it go? I just had it. It said, it was basically the question. Oh shoot, where'd it go? Give me 1 second.
You remember there just a bit?
I did, and now I'm just looking at everything else and I'm forgetting. Okay, it's right here. Okay, this is great. Oh, and how do you learn? You just talked about problem solving and pointing out their problems, and this is what we teach in the mastermind, guys. You point them out, as Owen just said, in an empathetic yet authoritative way. Hey, I'm empathetically coming at this, and I understand that this is a problem, yet I have a solution. I'm authoritatively giving you a solution. Hannah asks, Hannah, this is a great question. For Owen, how do you learn how to audit clients' websites or socials to better understand what problems they have that you can solve? How do you actually do that? What's your approach look like? Because you said it's like 60 seconds, right? You just look at it quick. What are you actually doing?
No, that's an awesome question. So the short answer is I'll actually look at what their competitors are doing. So, if it's like an apparel company, I'll look at their Instagram and be like, okay. And then you can go on Facebook ads library, which is a super helpful tool. You can basically see any ad that any company is currently running.
Yes.
So I'll either jump onto the ads library or I'll go to, one of their competitors' Instagrams and I'll like link in the email, like, hey, like this company's crushing it. I noticed you guys aren't doing this. And like making it a competitor is always a bonus because they're like, oh my gosh, they're in the same space as us. Like clearly they're crushing it with this type of video. Like, why can't we? So I think like comparing, again, in an empathetic way, comparing like their stuff to competitors. And then also another one that I do a lot is I'll jump on their Instagram and I'll find like their top performing piece of content. And then immediately when I find it, I'll be like, okay, like, are they consistently doing this? Because it's obviously working. And if they're not, I'll be like, hey, this type of content's crushing, but there's only one piece of content like it. Why don't we replicate that and do it more and more? Because it's obviously working.
Genius.
Those are just
great answer. And you mentioned Facebook ads library where you can see everything they're running. Guys, I talked about that earlier when we were talking about the paid ads. I just put it in the chat again. Copy that number, copy that cell number, text me the word ads. Because what Owen just said is literally what I already pre-recorded a video about. And then you can rewatch it if you really want to see how you find somebody's paid ads library and then what to look for once you get there. That is in the chat. All right, Owen, dude, we could just keep asking you questions. A lot of great ones. We're going to move on to some of the other ones. Great answers. Thank you again. Thanks for coming up, man.
Yep, always.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, great.
All right, guys.
We're going to bring up Colin just for a few quick questions. Let me bring him up. We'll promote you. There we go. Coming up, call. And we had some people.
He's back. The man is back.
For you.
I saw one down here. The question was, Colin, how would you advise?
I know I saw it here. You look for it. How do you freaking get views on Instagram? How do you get people to pay attention organically? We've talked a lot about paid, but if someone's like, okay, I want to actually focus on building a brand, like where do I start? How do I get people's attention online?
That's a great question. For me, it's all about value. It's about being able to answer a question that someone might have. So like going back to kind of what we were talking about, like with the Reddit thing, it's like, how do I, or Google, like when you go to Google, like it always just like auto fills in what you need. So it's like in like, for example, like with backpacking, I specialize in backpacking food. So what I would do is, I would go into a Facebook group that's all about backpacking in BC, and then type in the search, how do I, and then it'll kind of fill out like, oh, how do I find camp meals, or how do I cook for a big group, or how do I do this? And then I will take that and then I will answer that. That's one way to do it. And then the other way is like, as I start to build like an account that people are kind of having trust in, I'll just ask people what they're looking for. And like simply like doing one of those, like ask me anythings or whatever, and just be like, so the latest thing that I did was I put a thing that said, if I could help you with anything, it would be, and then people just filled in that question. And I got like probably like 100 different people saying what they wanted me to do. It was like more vegetarian stuff, or like more this, more that, more things for groups. And this can be like in a bunch of different avenues in the niche that you want to go through. So I think just like really researching and like trying to answer people's problems is like the biggest thing, because that's what keeps someone engaged and being like, oh, I get it. Okay, I want to stay and understand this whole thing. This is how, and that's how I kind of get views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, bro. That's a great answer. Carly asked this question for you, Colin. How would you suggest adding in what I'm going to call adjacent interest in your life into your brand? So she said, how do you add in smaller niches that maybe don't align with like the main goal of your socials? Example, you know, if you're doing brand photography or whatever, adding in like thrifting or reducing your carbon footprint or sustainability, advocating for something. How do you approach adding in little micro pillars of your brand? Do you think they're important? Do you think they cause confusion? Do you think it's actually a really good personal insight into what's behind some of the account? What's your answer on that?
Yeah, totally. I think it with some of the stuff that we learned in the mastermind is building a personal brand is really, really important. It's being able to showcase who you are as a person. That gives brands the ability to trust you, people the ability to trust you, because you're not just like I'm not some robot that only goes into the back country and cooks food and then just walks down. Like I have a wife, I have a home, I've got all these things, and like although you don't want it to dominate your feed, it's also good to be able to showcase that in stories. I posted a story today about my house because I've just been loving it, and just like humanizes you a little bit, and so that's really important. I would suggest stories. If you're trying to like earn money off of it, I think that's where it can get a little bit more muddy. I wouldn't recommend I would recommend trying to like really narrow down your stream and maybe start something different, just because that can be a lot. But I think being able to show diversity is really, really important. I posted photos of like my engagement and my wedding and stuff like that, and so that was like still part of who I am, and so I think it's very, very much okay. But like in the feed, like you don't want it to dominate your feed. You want people to come to your page and be like, I know what this person is about. Oh, but they also have this side of them, and that's okay too.
Yeah, brilliant, man.
Any final tips for people when left-hand turn pricing for influencer campaigns? So how do you approach pricing when a company's like, hey, I want you to, do this collaboration with us, post on your feed, post on your stories. How do you handle pricing? What do you kind of work off of, or just a general tip for somebody who's interested in not just shooting for brands, but also playing a more of a role in the content creation influencer side?
Wow, that's a very loaded question. Like there's
Any
just
little tips you got?
there are so many different elements to it. For me, there's so much about like being with a brand that is about relationship and being able to like see what establishes the relationship and what can continue that relationship moving forward. And so that will change sometimes how I price. Like everything is adaptable. But for me, like, I don't know if this is helpful, but like content wise right now, I have like a package where it's like one reel is 1,500, two reels is 29, and then like three is like 45. So if hard numbers are helpful, that's like kind of where I go off of. And I have a lot of people that book my second package. So very similar to what we learned in the wedding one from Christy with the content creation and pricing, or the moon package. I've never heard of that before. Yeah. That kind of idea is kind of how I price my packages. That was so hard to answer.
Yeah, I love that. All right, a quick two-part question to wrap up, asking you some questions. The first one is, this is coming from Anthony. He says that I am starting out my brand in a niche, and I'm looking for recommendations from Colin on what he uses for project management. What do you use to actually manage all of your content ideas and your projects? Getting organized, he says, would help him be more consistent and obviously plan out his bigger projects as he grows his brand. Colin, you post a lot of content. How do you stay organized?
I should be more organized. But my main one is using a platform called Milanote. Love Milanote. It's a great way to like, as like someone who cares about aesthetics, it's also very helpful to have a platform like Milanote that is very easy to use, very aesthetic, and helps organize like projects. And they've got like templates on there to help you manage like a project that like has things that are already built out for you, like timeline, all that kind of stuff. Also, everything in Google is really helpful. I just got a VA that will help me a lot, and we collaborate mostly on Google because she can write tasks and stuff like that, and it works really, really well. So it's best for collaborative. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, Milanote's super cool. I love personally using Milanote and their templates for some of their brand building stuff when it comes to us doing brand therapy projects. So
yeah,
you have not checked out Milanote yet, great resource right there. This is the part 2 of that question. It's not identical to that question, but a similar question. If you were starting all over again, Colin, I can't remember who this came from, I'm just going to scroll up real quick and see if I can see who this came from. If you were starting all over again, Colin, what would be your first step? Eli asks this. What's your first step to being authentic and building a brand? What would be your first maybe 1 or 2 steps if you had to start from scratch again? What would you be thinking about or doing?
I would start with what I love. We talked about those 3 bubbles. It
Yes.
always has to start from what I love. And the things that you're passionate about creating. Because if it's just going to be a money grab for you, you're going to get burnt out and it's going to be so exhausting. In those hard seasons, you're going to really feel those things. But if you're creating because you're passionate about it and because you love it, that's what keeps you going through the hard times, but also like just like keeps the joy in. And then later on, I kind of start adding those little bubbles like, oh, I want to do this. So I'm going to add like, oh, what are people actually looking for? Let me help tailor my content, but still stay true to what I love. And that's how I would start. Like just post because you love, share the things that you love that have changed your life, that have affected your life. And that's the best advice I could give.
Dude, that's great.
Honestly, so true.
That's good advice.
About your own creative business. What do you love? Like
Eli says that's good advice.
Space. It's like, what do you love? Like, what do you actually would be excited to wake up and go and do, and start from there?
Yeah,
that's such good advice, Colin.
That's amazing, guys. It's so important to stick with that. I don't remember who said it, but somebody says, even when you do the thing you love and you repeat it enough, it will eventually feel like work. So it's really important you start there, because if you start working on something that's not fun, it will eventually just feel so not fun. So that is great advice. Colin, thank you, man. We're going to drop you back down. Appreciate that. That was awesome. Guys, give it up for Colin in the chat. Pump him up. All right, we're going to jump through some more of these questions here.
I'll just do this one really quick for the wedding people. Brooke asked, what things would you put in a moonshot package? I would actually keep it really simple. I wouldn't load up a moonshot package of like, it's got 1,000,001 things. I would more so just make it like, it almost feels like a different offer in the sense. So it's not just like more hours. I would do a wedding weekend package or a wedding week/weekend package. And what I would do is have rehearsal dinner coverage. And usually I feel like couples are now planning their outfits to be just as like extravagant as their actual wedding day outfit. It's like a whole thing. So I feel like rehearsal dinners are getting crazier. So coverage for that, but also like a mini couples shoot the day before. So whether they want to do it like they're at a hotel in Mexico and they're like, we want to go out on the beach for like a half an hour shoot before a rehearsal dinner. You're like a pre-rehearsal dinner, photo shoot with them, coverage of the rehearsal dinner. And then you've got the full wedding day, make it the biggest package, whatever, like 10 hour, 12 hours you want, whatever you want, have that full coverage of that day. And then, make sure that there are like quick turnaround edits, not necessarily the whole thing, but make sure that there's 24-hour edits for each day. And then you've got to even make like a day after shoot. Like a lot of people have, especially these like destination wedding weekend type things, there's often a day after brunch or hangout or excursion. Or you can also just say, hey, you've got 3 full days. If you are like going to, Muskoka for 3 days and your family rented a boathouse and like you guys are gonna have 3 days all together, you can do the 3 days on the front end. You can have like a day before where everyone's doing a big excursion, rehearsal day, and then the wedding day, and then maybe they're shipping off to go to whatever honeymoon they're going on. So I would just make it more of like a 3-day thing, and then it can include some like fun things as well, but it's more about the amount of coverage they're getting for all of the big events. And then I would do it from there, and then you can always just like figure out how much a day feels like it would be good to add on if they want to continue to add on more days. And then, man, you got like a $15,000 package, whatever it is. So that's what I would include. I wouldn't make it just like, oh, you got 1 million albums and prints and all these things that actually kind of like don't really matter that much to somebody, but more so coverage of what's happening. So that's what I would put in there.
It's great. Kyle Williams, if you're still on, we're going to answer your question here. You threw it up earlier in the call. It says you're bottlenecked with editing and you want to hire someone to help. It's then a bunch of text here that I just read. I'll basically summarize it. You're trying to figure out, do you hire somebody and at what point do you have them come into the project in order for it to become efficient for you? So if I'm understanding the question correctly, I'm going to give you the answer on what I prefer to do. If I can do it this way, I try and do it this way every single time. If I can't do it this way, I'll give you the second piece here. But my absolute ideal when hiring editors, which I have a lot of familiarity with because running a content agency for the better part of a decade, you quickly learn that you cannot be the person that edits every single thing you do. So what I shoot to do is I try and find somebody local first that can both be an assistant shooter and an editor. And the reason why I say that is, I was going to say, put your hand up. You can put your hand up, but I can't see your hands. But type me in the chat if you ever had to edit something you didn't shoot. It's very difficult. It takes you so much more time. You're like, gosh, I wonder what he was thinking with that. That's a horrible shot, right? Or you miss a good shot maybe. Sometimes maybe you're calling through the footage and you actually miss a good shot because you weren't there to see it and experience it. So my preference is always to hire somebody local. I often do flat rate projects, so I don't often pay people hourly. I like to compensate them for the value they're bringing, not necessarily their time. And because when I pay someone for their time, it means that I'm having to pay them to not be efficient. They're wanting to take longer because they get paid more. I want to pay you good money for good value. I want you to be efficient, do it quick. So I often look for someone and I would say, hey, I got this shoot coming up on Friday. I really am excited about having somebody come in and shadow me and help me shoot, be a second shooter on this project. And then that person will also edit it. And so I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars to come on the shoot. And I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars to edit the project. Flat rate, I want to pay you for efficiency. So, if you can finish the project, you stay up all night and you finish the project, you're still getting paid the same amount of money because I want to pay you for the value. So that's my answer, Kyle. Number one, I would always try and have somebody come into the project where they can film it with me because it's so much easier to edit. And I can also be like, hey, make sure you put that shot in. That was a great shot. Or make sure you capture what we just captured or what they just said. Make sure that makes it in. So it saves me time. Now, here's the second piece, then I'll wrap this up here. If you can't find somebody and you're looking to maybe have an overseas editor or somebody out of state or in a different city than you, what I do is I would, if it's a smaller project, I might pick my own selects, put them into a drive, send them over to the editor. But most importantly, even if I don't do that and I just drop the whole card, I am sending that person somewhat of a shot list from what I tried to shoot and what I thought was going to be valuable to make it into the film or make it into the video or into the ad. And then I'm sending them some type of video, culling through just a few pieces of the footage and showing them, hey, from my perspective, I'm not editing this, you are, but I want you to see this footage the way I shot it. Here's what I really want to point out. This is a great shot. I want you to use something like this. Don't use something like this. The product doesn't look the way I wanted it to look. So if you see any of the other clips and the product's looking like this, just skip over them. I would give them context. The more you can set an editor up for success, use Loom. Go through the footage and screen record yourself talking about some of the things you think were helpful. So that's what I do. I try and point them in the best direction if they are a virtual editor by helping show them what footage I am drawn to that I would like to be present in the film. And then I don't hold things too tightly. I let them come up with, their own version of what creative freedom looks like in editing the film. But I also tell them, hey, you're not doing a revision on this. Like if I'm paying you for the project, we're getting this thing done. And I'm going to try and do as much as I can up front to make sure you don't have a bunch of revisions. But if we have to keep workshopping this, we're going to have to do it. And I look for people that are okay with that. And I tend to focus on those people. And then I work with those people for a long time. Some of the editors that I have experience working with are guys I've worked with for 7-8 years, and I continue to throw work at them because we've built a lot of trust. So I hope that answers your question, Kyle. Hope that's a good answer for you. That's what I would do, and I see that you just answered. So glad that you were able to get that answer.
That's awesome.
Joseph, you asked Owen, does Owen outsource a lot of his stuff? I don't know if Owen's still here.
I think Owen,
if you are still
mostly
here,
does it himself.
Throw it in the chat. I know Owen does have people in all states, a ton of states all over the U.S. Throw it in the chat if you want to answer that.
Pitching and stuff like that.
The pitching, yes. He does all the pitching,
Owen's got a bunch of people.
He does outsource work, but Jared says he left.
Yeah, no, I know he hires a lot of the creative work out, which is why he can be like, oh, we got all these different shoots for this tent company in all different spaces and different states and all that kind of stuff. But really I know that Owen handles most of the pitching himself, which is awesome. He loves it. I think he's really good at it. So I think, if it's something where you're like, I love this. I actually get lit up. I wake up every day being like, let me get to pitching. If you're specifically talking about pitching, then great, manage it yourself. That is income producing activities, which we say that, if it's an income producing activity, you should be doing it. Outsource stuff that's not income producing. For instance, your own bookkeeping. That's something that you should be outsourcing. If you've got the resources to be able to do that, outsource that so that you can go and work on income producing activities. If you want to outsource certain stuff about pitching, things like that, you know, if you're like, oh, I'm having trouble finding like emails for all of these people that I want to be pitching, you can literally hire someone on Fiverr to find email, like lead generation stuff for you, to get a bunch, like a whole list of emails for super cheap. You can hire someone else to do that. So find areas that you're really not good at, or that you just won't really get yourself to do it, and outsource that. Other than that, I think a lot of pitching, I would do it yourself at first though.
Yeah.
Like really understand what actually matters, how you're selling things. You'll learn so much, and then once you've learned it and mastered it, then outsource it.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you just said this, I might have missed it, but one of the big reasons for that too is anytime, guys, you outsource, your ability to get your own clients becomes a scary place. It is not a good feeling to lay on your bed at night trying to go to sleep, feeling the stress of, I do not know how to get my own clients. Versus someone like Owen going, I've created my own lead gen system. I know how to pitch. I've taught myself these skills. I went through the Creativ Rise Mastermind. I learned stuff. I've really, really learned how to do this. Dude goes to bed with some confidence, right? So that's just something to think about when it comes to outsourcing something like that, if that's what you're referring to. This is a great question that I wanted to answer up here. Where did it just go? One second.
So many good questions.
Sorry, I just had it. Such a good question. Oh, yes. It was, I don't remember who asked it, but I'm remembering it. It was, how do you, or what are some examples that clients would have that could be problems when you are pitching? What are some examples? You do it for brides. Think about it for brides. What are some problems brides have that you can talk about in your emails back to them, your Instagram content, your social content on your website? I'll talk about it from a brand perspective. So the main two problems when it comes to a brand perspective are, well, there's really one problem. Their problem is up top that they're not making as much money as they thought they would be, right? But that's not the problem you necessarily hit. The problems down below that are, well, why is that the case? They're probably dealing with a content problem, and you guys are all content pros, so I'll narrow it into content. They're probably dealing with a content problem that is either they don't have enough content or the quality of the content isn't good. A third problem is they don't have either of those, right? So this is something that I want to debunk for you right now. A lot of creatives, type me in the chat if you believe this. No shame in this. I'm going to help you look at this in a different way. But a lot of creatives believe, type me in the chat, if you feel like if you see a brand with really good content, it means you can't work with them. It means you can't pitch them because their content's really good. Yeah, we're seeing some people say that. Here's the truth about that. A brand that has really good social content, really good product content on their website where they sell their products, really good ads, it's proof of concept that they know the ROI of investing in content. So absolutely you should pitch them. Now, what does the pitch to them look like? What's their problem? You say, Joey, they don't have a problem. Their content's already good. They've got a problem. You reach out to them. You say, hey, your content's so great. Here's a couple pieces of it I really love. I know, though, that keeping up with content at that quality can be exhausting. Boom, problem. I would love to alleviate some of the stress off of your content team by contributing to your monthly social content or by helping you with your paid advertising. You know, we should jump on a call. I would love to share what some of my ideas are for your business. So what's the problem when a brand has really, really good content? The problem is it's hard to keep up with that much good content. So they need people constantly contributing to that. That's the problem. The other side of that is what happens if a brand does not have good content? Well, the problem's a little bit more obvious. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I would love to help you. Here's maybe what some of your competitors are doing. And I think it's probably working well for them. Look how many views they're getting, or look how many likes or comments. I'm sure they're getting a lot of web traffic. I would love to copy and paste that, but hey, we might even do it a little bit better than they're doing it. I'd love to do that for you. Here's what that looks like. Problem, solution, right? If they have both of those problems, they have a lack of quality and a lack of quantity, well, it's pretty easy. You can just tell them, this is what it looks like. I would love to help you solve this problem and be empathetic about it. I'm sure you guys have already thought about this. You just haven't found the right creative partner. I would love to jump on a call and chat through what some of my ideas are. I cannot wait to share them. Here's a link to my Calendly. Let's chat, So those are a couple key, very high level examples. Content quality and content quantity. You can get more, granular with that, and it comes into, their content is not diversified enough. Their content doesn't you know, their content's all a bunch of studio photos of their product. They don't have a bunch of lifestyle photos. Like, great example. Christy shoots all the content, us, but Christy's original client for LaCroix. Christy's been working with LaCroix for 7 years. LaCroix do not have this problem. I'm using them as an example. They do a great job with their content, but imagine if you went on LaCroix's social media and all you ever saw was this sitting on a white background and it had no movement to it. There wasn't any hands. There wasn't any, like, nobody could see how it actually fits into their life. They just see it in the studio. I would reach out to them and say, hey, you're killing it with your product photos. I think you should add an element of lifestyle content. Here's what maybe a competitor or two are doing, or here's some content I've shot in the past. I think you should consider it. We should try it, you know? So there's more granular problems like that where maybe they need more diversity ethnically. Maybe it's age diversity. Maybe it's location diversity. That's a pitch that I always loved growing up. I used to pitch brands all the time and say, hey, all you guys are ever doing in the outdoor space was shooting in the mountains here. But I know you know that where I'm from, there is a huge population. We should get some content of a pretty much uglier part of the country, but it's where a lot of people live. What if we could have some content that was a little bit more relatable to where a massive part of your customers are? Does that sound cool? They're like, oh, that's awesome. We aren't doing that. Let's do it, right?
That is so for real with brands. Like, literally, I was on a call with LaCroix 3 weeks ago, and I was like, okay, so I'm thinking, like, I'm doing seasonal campaigns for them, so I shoot for them probably like 6 times a year for these big campaigns. And I was like, okay, how about we go to, like, I think I gave like a really nice location. Like, I can't remember which, like, mountain.
Oh, it was like mountains or desert or what do we want to do?
I was like, what do we want to do? And they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, we're really wanting to focus on more of like Midwest, like just really approachable, really just kind of like in like the backwoods, whatever. But that's because that's where so many of their customers are from. And it's like, you might be thinking like, I need to go to this like mountaintop and like that's what's going to make them say yes. But if you were to actually pitch like, no, let's like go to a very relatable whatever area of the country and let's shoot here and it's different because it's the same as what they experience on a day-to-day basis, you may hit really hard with them. Like, actually look at and try to figure out who is their ideal client and then how do you pitch that to them. That is like super cool. For the wedding space, let's make this a little bit interactive. So get the chat open. Imagine you are engaged. So whether you've already gotten married, great. Imagine you're engaged. If you're not, if you're single as a Pringle, imagine you are engaged and you are looking for a photographer. Let's say you are on your wedding day and the worst has happened with your photography experience.
Rachel's engaged. We'll use Rachel as an example. Great. Congratulations.
Everybody type in the chat, what's like the worst thing you could really kind of imagine happening with your photos, photographer, whatever. Like, what are you afraid of happening? What's the thing that you kind of are like, oh, like if I'm gonna book someone, I make sure X doesn't happen. Type it in the chat. Okay, quality. The card's corrupt. It starts raining and they're not able to handle it. SD
bad
gets
quality,
destroyed.
they
Bad
get
quality,
lost.
they get lost. What about the experience? What about the experience of getting your wedding photos taken? What would be like horrible? You don't want it. Bad communication. Someone that's unfriendly, rude. Camera takes a plunge in the water. That's hilarious. That is probably a nightmare that I repeatedly had for many years. Rude photographer. Someone stinky. Their values don't align. Photos get deleted. Everyone's irritated. Okay. Boom. Take all of those, and those are problems you can address in your brand. Are you nervous that you are going to feel so uncomfortable in front of the camera because you have someone so weird directing you and it's just not a fun experience? Want to feel like your best friend is taking your photos? That is how I make people feel. I will make you feel so comfortable. Both of you guys, not just the girl. You're going to have the best time. You're going to wish we were taking photos for longer in cocktail hour. Like, talk about that. Talk about how, hey, are you seeing all these like cheesy photos online, super like posed, weird? It looks like your uncle that you never talked to took them. You don't want that. Trust me, you do not want that. If you want great photos that feel candid and fun and it's awesome, and if it rains, it's going to make it even better, hire me, right? Like, talk about these problems. There are so many problems and so many like little anxieties that couples feel before booking somebody. And if you think about your ideal client, whether they're a luxury client and they're afraid that you're going to actually be like way too much, like maybe your ideal client is more like, I want someone that really blends in the scene, makes it feel very candid. Make sure that they are just super detail oriented so they capture everything. I've spent so much money on everything captured. Talk about those problems. If you have someone who's more like a backyard bride, they want to feel like you are their bestie and they're like texting you all the time, make your brand about that. Like, talk about the problems that are specific to your ideal client and stay away from the ones that aren't, right? Stay away from the ones that really don't apply. But there are so many problems in the wedding industry that you can talk about that will help alleviate and attract people to you, which is really cool. Or talk about positive things and just really double down on those as well. Because you obviously don't want to be doom and gloom and like, I'm going to ruin your SD card and here's why I back up 4 different times. That's great. Maybe don't build your whole brand about that, but choose some things that are really like positive and some shadow sides of those things and talk about it.
That's great.
Good
Sam
question.
McLean, if you're still on, throw me in the chat. I'm going to answer your question from really early on in the call. You said, how would you recommend evaluating the brand voice to determine the verticals within a brand strategy that they take in within the content you're pitching? Basically, from what I hear, it sounds like you're asking, how do you figure out, how to make sure what you're pitching is going to land and that it's going to be in the voice they want you to be pitching in? If that's what you are asking, I don't assume I know the answer to that when I am talking to brands. I think creatives do this wrong, and I've done this wrong in the past, where you take the perspective like you know the answer to everything or you have the best solution for them. The best brands that I've ever worked with and the best relationships or the biggest deals I've ever worked with, I've gone into those with a very simple, like, hey, I think I've got a lot of value to bring to the table, but I got questions for you. What would this look like? Or what do you think about this type of content? Is that something you guys would love to double down on? Or am I missing something? Like, if you can play the role of the curious creative who's looking to give value, I mean, brands love that because they show that you're showing that you're moldable. And no brand ever wants to work with a creative who's not moldable. A non-moldable creative means they're going to pay you for a project. They're going to get the project back in their email, open up the images, and the brand's going to look at this and go, he or she missed the mark, right? So whenever you're pitching brands, you want to be confident and you want to be positioning the value you have. But at the same time, you always want to leave open a curiosity loop by asking a good question about, what does this look like for you? Or I'd love to get on a call and chat about your brand guidelines in order for me to really feel like I would be a great solution for you guys. Because if we could go through a 15-minute call where you could share your brand guidelines for me, I feel like I could hit a home run for you guys. It's a great way to do that. So that's how I would answer that question.
How about this one? I don't know how to narrow down the list of things I offer. I cover weddings, conferences, make corporate content, etc. I don't know how to market my brand and my services as a scope is too broad help. So first of all, I want to say that if you want to be a jack of all trades, you can. Like, we're not going to sit here and tell you that if you have to niche down and you have to only choose one thing and all that kind of stuff. However, there are shadow sides to niching and not niching.
Yes.
We often say you have to earn the right to niche, and we more so mean that earn the right to niche when it's like, I want to work with this specific outdoors company and that is all I want to do. It's like, okay, earn the right to do that. Like, do you want to work a 9 to 5 while you try to build that very specific niche and it's really hard? Or do you want to take stuff that's more adjacent to what you want to do and you can actually build in the creative career and then earn the right to become that person? So that's where we talk about earning the right to niche. However,
talk about what a niche is, because or can I jump in here?
Yeah, go for it.
So one of the things we say at Creativ Rise all the time, and you just somewhat touched on it, and I think it's important to add, is when we say niche, we don't just mean like you only work with brides between the ages of 21 and a half and 22 who are getting married in Utah on the mountaintop. Like, we don't mean, when we say niche, we don't mean that. We mean niche to a set of problems, not a person.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you serve 10 different industries. We'll use Becca and Marcello. They've got Brand by Friday. They are working in many different industries. You would look at that and go, well, that's not very niched, but it is niched because the solution they're giving, the service they're providing every time, that's what's niched. They're not doing this over here and this over here. They're doing the same rinse and repeat process for the same style of problem, and they're duplicating it across many industries. That's the best business model.
Yeah.
So when we say niche, it's niche to a set of problems. Don't necessarily just niche to a person or a brand.
Exactly. And then I was gonna say, shoot. Oh, here's another little topic. So, or not topic, associated with niching. So, one, you can do a lot of different things. However, you won't necessarily be seen as an authority in a space if you're like, I shoot weddings and corporate and brands and like child's birthday party. Like I do all of these things all the time. That's great, but it makes you look like you have about this much experience in everything. It makes you have an authority of this much experience in everything, which is fine if you want to get paid not a lot. But if you're really wanting to scale something, I would pick a solution and really focus on that. Now, that doesn't mean you have to only shoot weddings. You have to only shoot certain types of brands. You have to only shoot this type of stuff. This is what I did. I built a wedding business. That was like my main thing. I was like, okay, wedding photography all the way. Was doing it full time, loving it, felt like an authority in that space. I randomly got emailed by LaCroix, like first year into my business, and they were like, hey, we want this like random photo shoot for like a Coachella ad down in Palm Desert. And I was like, okay, I feel like this is fake, but let's do it. So I ended up doing it. It wasn't fake. It was awesome. Built, again, 7-year relationship. It's great. So I started shooting for LaCroix, and it was like I had this invisible brand behind my wedding brand. And I started shooting for brands behind the scenes. No one knew it. I would occasionally post on my story, oh, I'm going out and shooting for whoever. But like, it was not my main brand. It was an invisible brand happening behind the scenes. And I was slowly building these relationships. And I was like, actually, this is really fun. And then eventually I swapped. And now that is my front-facing brand. But everyone was like, still knew me as the wedding girl, still knew me as the authority in this space. So if you want to do multiple things, what I would encourage you to do is pick a front-facing thing. Okay, pick a front-facing thing, whether it's weddings. And then you've got corporate events and some brand stuff that's more, let's be real, you pitching them more than it is a ton of inbound, whereas weddings are mostly inbound. So I would make the wedding one as like the main brand, and then I would just shoot things as an invisible brand on the side. You can still do it, but make this the main thing. I think there's so much value in having a main brand that you're really talking to so that you're not talking to everybody and attracting nobody.
It's a great answer. Mary asks a great question. In the luxury wedding space, the planner is as much the client as the couple is, which is genius. It's so true. How do you speak to the planner's problem / pitch them so that they want to work with you and refer you to the client? So you're the wedding expert. I have shot like 3 weddings in my history. One of them I showed up as the bride was walking down the aisle because the bride and I both mixed up the date. It's a bad story. But at the same time, I've gotten to coach wedding creatives over the last 5 years.
So
and
now you know a thing.
I feel like I know a thing or two about weddings. So here's what I'd say, and then you can take it away and bring it home. What I'd say is absolutely, Mary, you are totally right. The planner is just as much, if not more, the client for you need to be speaking to than the bride is. I know Christy's probably going to say some things. I will offer one thing. The planner thrives or dies on their ability to deliver a good experience to their client, who is the bride. So what this means is your quality of work to shoot a luxury wedding has to be a certain level. But once it's over a certain level, what is a planner looking for? Undeniably, after that, the planner only cares that you show up early, you work hard, you don't cause problems, you don't cause drama, you deliver on time, you communicate well, and you're a really, really good time to be around. I think that is the main thing. And that's what, if a planner can go, and that's Christy. And Christy's got a lot of experience working with planners because Christy shot a lot of luxury weddings and works with a lot of planners. And she gets calls from the planners because they go, gosh, Christy's photos are amazing. But more importantly, I can trust her. I like being around her in high stress situations, which those often are. I know that she's not going to do anything inappropriate at a wedding with these high-end people or high-profile people. And her work's really good. So from my perspective, the problems you pitch to a planner is, hey, everyone's got the same work. Everyone's work is great. I know you're looking for someone who's dependable, trustworthy, fun to be around, blah, 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 blah. Here's how I can be all those things.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Like, I think 25% of my inquiries, if not more than that, came from planners. And those were some of like the highest ticket weddings I ever got were from planners. And so, yes, exactly what Joey said. Like, make sure when you are at a wedding, get to know the planner. Like, you probably already are doing that anyways because you're working with them. But like, I just did this subconsciously. I think I'm just like addicted with feeling useful. Like, I just want to always feel useful, always feel like I'm there for a purpose and that people can rely on me. So I was always like acting as a second wedding planner. Like, I was always like, okay, how are we on time? Okay, what do we need? How are we doing? Like, always checking in throughout the day. So even just like Joey's saying, experientially, you can do all the right things, all the right marketing, all the right like pitching planners. You can do all of that right. But if your actual in-person experience falls flat and they don't view you as helpful, they don't even like you, or like they don't feel like you were interested in them or helping them, then they will never recommend you again, no matter how good your photos were or even how well it went with the client. They will not care. So I would say, yes, building that relationship is really huge. I would say start pitching planners. So pitching planners, not just like, hey, can you recommend me? But I think there's a couple things you can do. But value. One, you can give obviously the planner value. You can offer to do headshots or go take them out to coffee, do whatever. That's fine. Most of the time they're too busy for that and they won't take you up on it. However, what they will take you up on it is something that is no effort to them, but gives their client a better experience, which means you could upgrade your packages for their clients. Like, you can upgrade them for free, like, or you can add on some additional value for the couple if they come through you. So you can basically approach a planner and say, hey, like, these are my normal packages. However, I would love to honestly work with you. I think it'd be really, really fun. And I would love to offer you to offer your clients that if your clients want to book X package, I will give them X package for no additional cost. Them being able to have something that they can take to their client and feel really important and like, I have a code, or like, I have a discount, or I have this. That kind of stuff goes a long way. So that would be my like main thing with planners, is saying like, how do you give them a piece of value to be able to give to somebody? And then also, small thing, on your wedding inquiry page, make sure you have like, oh, fiance name number 1, fiance name number 2. Make sure there's a planner section in there. Or like, if a planner, here.
Name your planner, or are you the planner?
It just feels more industry,
high level.
All that
the last thing I will say about that, because I think this is smart, and this goes not only for wedding planners, this also goes for brands. This goes if you're working, you tend to do a lot of work with agencies who are working with the brands. Your job is to make them crush their job. If you're a wedding photographer and at the end of the night, the wedding planner can go, dang, I look amazing to this bride. She is so happy she hired me because of the way this photographer, the way Christy is handling this wedding experience. You will get the call every single time that wedding planner gets a high level wedding, because she will be like, this is the person I trust. They make me look good. Same thing goes in the brand space. If you can get on the phone with a creative director or a marketing manager from a company and you can go, look, dude, I want to partner with you guys. Or look, it's a female, I want to partner with you. I just want to make you look really good. I want you to get a raise next year. What do we need to do in this campaign to get you a raise? You ever asked that question? I have. The response is incredible. They love it. They go, dang, this is awesome.
Or
like,
if you don't want to
this
tell
is
them
really
the
cool.
raise, how do I make your life easier?
How do I make your life easier? Like, yeah, maybe it's not a raise, but I just want you to look so great to your boss. How do we crush this campaign together? I am on your team.
Yeah.
Whether it's weddings or brands, that is a huge tip.
So well.
All right, another question here. This is from Allison. This is a great question. How do I convert a one-off job to a retainer? This is in the brand space, I'm assuming. How do you get somebody from just working with them once to end up working with them on a recurring basis? This is a great question, because this is kind of the goal of where in the brand space you really want to get to. If you want to stabilize and grow your income, eventually start building out a team if you want, you've got to have retainer work. So what I tend to do is I tend to work with somebody on a one-off basis. And once we do that, in the process of planning or executing the one-off, I always let them know, hey, I'd love to work with you guys in the future. We're going to crush this, and I can't wait to chat about, here's the key, what we can do to get even better next time. After I deliver this content, I'm planning on it being as good as humanly possible, but I want to book, after I deliver this one-off content to you, I would love to book a follow-up call with you to go over what we delivered and see if you have any feedback for me. I don't know if you guys do that. It's not an easy thing to do, but submitting yourself to feedback as a creative. Huge. I remember doing this when I worked with Yeti. And I submitted a request for a feedback call, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And we did a feedback call, and we went image by image of what I delivered to Yeti. And they had someone from Texas, someone from Canada on that call, the marketing managers from both countries, and they were looking at what we had shot and they were ripping it to shreds. And they said, we are only on this call because we consider you someone to work with again. And the only reason why we're even considering that is because you're open to feedback. And because you're open to feedback, we can give you good constructive criticism, even though these are really, this campaign's really good. And that makes us want to trust you and we can move forward. So the same thing goes when you're trying to work with any other company, you're trying to get them on retainer. First step is shoot the one off, ask for a feedback call. On the feedback call, go, great, this is awesome. I'm getting so much good input from you on what we could do better next time. Let's plan a next time. What would it look like if we did this on a monthly or quarterly basis? And then here's the key, guys. You always make your monthly retainers or your quarterly retainers cheaper than if they were to do it
cost effective.
And then they were to do it once. And that's the word. You never say, oh, I'll make it cheaper for you guys. I just said cheaper so that you guys understood. Yeah. Christy came in and filled in the word cost effective. Write that word down. You want to always use the word cost effective. Yeah. Hey, I would love to do this on a quarterly basis. If it's $2,000 every time I shoot this campaign, if we do this on a quarterly basis, or we do it, let's call it monthly. If we do this on a monthly basis, I'll make it more cost effective for you. And let's drop it to $1,800. Cost effective at $1,800 for you guys. You guys can save a little bit of money. We can build a great relationship, and I can make sure you guys are getting the solution every single month. Boom, you've now just pitched a retainer.
And I would also like to say that your retainer needs to be a repeatable problem. If it's not a repeatable problem, it can't be a retainer.
Yeah,
and if you are
genius.
delivering something, you will probably, maybe not, but most creatives are outworking themselves out of a retainer. Mm-hmm. If you're delivering 100 images, that is not probably a monthly thing. You're probably giving them 4 months worth of content, and they're then like, we're good. We don't need, you already gave us so much. We don't need that much more. So really shrink, not in like a value way, because you're giving more value, but figure out like, hey, how do I refresh your content every month so it's new every month, so it works better for you every month, which means you probably only need like 20 images, right? 20 images, 5 reels, or flip-flop, whatever. However the company works, I would say shrink your deliverables so that they actually are working really well for them. And then how do you make that a refresh continually? And then like Joey said, that feedback, that's going to create a really strong relationship. So just make sure you're not giving too much.
Super important, guys. Hope that helps.
Cool.
That's great. We're going to answer a few more, and then we are going to go because
this has been so fun.
We need to eat. And I hope you guys, wherever you are, need to also eat some food. We're going to get some pizza.
Type in the chat what you're going to eat for dinner if it's dinner time for you.
Or just whatever your next meal is. All right. This is a great question. Charlotte Webster, you asked the question. I've got a portfolio. I'm starting to charge for shoots. How do I balance being reasonably priced and affordable with making money and pricing what I am worth? Should I put my prices publicly on my website? So why don't you answer the second question about the website? I'll answer the first one. So my honest answer about how do you get what you're worth? Charlotte, you're not worth anything. You're a human. You're invaluable. So I want to hopefully encourage that I would encourage you to shift your perspective on this a little bit. Guys, pricing your work is all about pricing the value of what you are selling them, right? Like if I shoot a family photo session, just abstract example, I shoot a family photo session that takes me 3 hours, kids are screaming, takes me an hour to edit, 4 hours total, and I charge $400 for that, versus I shoot for a big brand that takes me 3 hours to shoot, 1 hour to edit, 20 minutes to deliver. I could charge $15,000 for a 4-hour brand shoot, depending on the size of the brand and what I'm delivering. Or here, I'm only charging $325 or $400 for the family shoot. But Joey, how's that possible? It's the same amount of time, right? It's because I don't charge based on my worth. I'm a human, right? I charge based on the worth of the value of the solution of the content I'm giving. I'm solving a different problem, right? Solving a really big problem for a brand. If that content gets messed up, and it doesn't hit the way they thought, they're putting $1 million of ad spend behind it, they're going to miss out on a lot of money. I can charge more for that. I got to put in a lot of effort. Got to make sure I'm going to kill it for them, right? There's a lot of what ifs. I can solve that for you. Trust me. Over here, the family session, it's just like, yeah, we're getting family photos. I can't charge that much for it. So that's why it's important. You don't charge for your worth. You charge for the worth of your solution. That's the first thing about this. Now, getting a little bit more tactical with this, Charlotte, how do you, now that you've got a portfolio, how do you actually go about charging for your work and increasing that in a reasonable way? Well, Christy and I like to talk about a formula that if you were to engage with a potential client 10 times, if they're either coming into your email, they're filling out your inquiry form on your website, they're DMing you on Instagram, you meet them on the side of the street and talk it up. If you're having 10 client interactions, potentially client interactions, and you're booking anything over 6 out of 10 of those, it means your prices could probably go up a little bit. So that's something to consider, Charlotte. This is a huge thing in the wedding industry. If you're getting 10 wedding inquiries and you're booking 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 wedding inquiries, your prices need to go up, because odds are 4 people would have booked for almost double the price of what your prices were, and you're getting less work. You're having to do less work but making the same amount of money. Yeah. Your prices need to go up. So, Charlotte, I would just look at where you're at right now. Ask yourself the question: how many times when someone comes to me do I land the deal? And if it's a really high number, it probably means you're good at walking them through the sales process, but it probably also means you could increase your prices. So yeah. I think you balance that formula. And as you go through your year, you do a check-in. How am I doing? Am I closing a lot of these deals? Am I not? Maybe do I need to drop my prices a little bit? It's a good indicator on that. So Charlotte, I hope that's helpful.
And then should I put my prices publicly on my website? So for me, I like selling people in the actual sales process. So I have never been one to want to put my prices on my website, because I know that, especially back in the day when I was shooting weddings full time, I was like, I know I'm more expensive than probably everybody else they're reaching out to. So I don't want them to just look at my pricing on my website starting at price and be like, oh, like, never mind. Because I genuinely think that most couples come up with a budget, and if the person they really, 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 really want is a little bit more expensive, they'll push it. Like, I just genuinely think that. So you want to be able to do that in the sales process, not at like the stopping gate or the front gate of your business, which is essentially your website. So I personally am not a super fan of it. However, I guess if you're like, I hate responding to inquiries, I feel like I just don't like want to get ghosted. I don't want to get ghosted on my pricing, whatever. If you're like, I just don't want that, and I'm getting a ton of inquiries, then yeah, throw a starting at price on your website and, you know, get rid of the low ballers. But you just have to have thick skin too if you're gonna not have your pricing on your website, because if someone's gonna try to lowball you, you just have to stand strong and just be like, no, sorry, that's my pricing. Like, let me know if you change your mind. Like, that's all you got to do. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of putting pricing on a website, unless I'm a huge fan of putting pricing on a website if you are intentionally really cost effective so that you can scale a ton. Like, let's say you're like Brand by Friday. Like, I think what Becca and Marcello is doing is awesome. And yes, they could be doing like $20,000 websites and have done those, but they were like, you know what? We want to scale this, make this thing like such a solid offer,
repeatable,
and super repeatable, and like day in, day out, just book it like in advance, and let's get this thing really, really rolling and not have to do as much like custom stuff with sales and everything like that. That's where I would say they're actually would be crushing it. And I believe they have their prices on their website, but if not, maybe not. Having your pricing on your website, if you're not the most expensive person, is actually a really good idea, because then people can go, oh, I know that I can afford that. And this is gonna be really high quality, and it's like all very seamless, and I can just like very automate
in an automated way,
automatedly,
sure,
automated. That's not a word. But do something in that sense. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
That's great. The only other side to this, the flip of that, and this is not disagreeing with Christy. This is offering an alternate perspective if you're running a business that's really high ticket. So, example for me. When I'm doing brand building stuff, brand therapy, when we're running these experiences for people, I'll make like 20 grand in a day. It'll be like 7 or 8 hours of consulting. I'll charge them like 20 grand for it, because I'm working with companies where our advice, our feedback, and what we can build for them in a day saves them so much more money than 20 grand and the potential errors they were going to run into if they didn't go through the experience. So on our website, I will have a starting at price, and I will list kind of like what the lowest end starting at price would be, because I simply just don't want to waste my time with people inquiring, being like, can you help me build my brand? I have $1,200, but we want to make $1 million this year, with this new product. I'm like, I can't, right? Like, that's not worth my time. So starting at prices on a website are really helpful if you're trying to protect your time. Let's say you're getting a ton of inquiries as a wedding photographer. You can put a starting at price on your website that will basically deter people who would not be your ideal client, but at the same time, pull in people that would be like, I got that money, and that would be your ideal client. Because people who do show up on your site and be like, wow, her starting at price is $7,000 for a website, or sorry, $7,000 for a wedding. I can't pay that. They leave. But the person who comes and goes, I love this girl's work or his work, and their starting at price is $7,000. Yeah, we got that in the budget. Let's go. Like, I'm excited. So
yeah.
Guys, pricing strategy. This is great what Christy said, and what I'm adding to this pricing strategy. Pricing is branding. It is a form of branding yourself. It brands who your business is. It is a big part of branding, and a lot of time we don't see it that way, but it really is. So that's a great question. All right, a couple more here. Corey asked a good question. How do you balance a client budget in the commercial space with post-production costs? It sounds like worked in the TV space, and basically you said you're doing a project for 30 videos, 30-second videos. It's a lot of 30-second videos. Product highlight videos with a fairly fast turnaround. The film and TV editor rates typically would be more than 80% of the budget that I had for this project, and would expect a longer turnaround. So the answer is, it just doesn't work. You either need to find cheaper editors or you need to get a bigger budget. It's the only answer for that. I hope that's helpful. It's a really just straight shooter answer, but you need to find cheaper editors, more cost-effective editors. And at the same time, it's probably both. You need to do both. You need to find better editors that are cheaper, and you also need to find, more budget from that client. Say, hey, we can't accommodate that turnaround time and that amount of videos for that budget. But if you could give us this, no problem. We got it for you. We can do it.
Okay, we will take one more question, but I want it for someone who is still one of the 50 people sitting on this call. So if you've got a question you are dying to have answered, drop it in the chat right now. We will take the first one that gets dropped in, and then we are shutting her down.
Also, if you have a question about the mastermind, throw it in the chat.
True.
Let's answer a few mastermind questions.
Never do that. So
if you have any questions about what the 6-week mastermind looks like,
some in here actually.
Happy to answer those.
There was some mastermind questions in here, I thought. Let's see.
Hold on, what did Corey just say? How do you select 35? Rachel, that's a great question. How do we select the 35 businesses that we take into the mastermind every time?
Yes.
Great question. So we typically get like 90 to 100 applications per time. So there's about one spot for every 3 people that apply. So we have to be selective. So if you go through the application, you can see in the application, we ask you some questions about your business. If you'd be ready for the amount of growth the Creativ Rise Mastermind can bring to your business, if you have the time to commit, what you're looking forward to, what you need help with. And then Christy and I will go through all that info, and we will look to pick out the people that we feel like are in the right place with the right amount of commitment that they were able to commit, that we also know our systems can help the most. We're never going to sell anybody into it that's not going to be a good fit, because that wouldn't be a good fit for them.
Yes.
And a bad fit for them is a bad fit for us, because the other part of this is we do this in such a communal way that every single person that comes into the mastermind is expected to be a community member, to give to the community, to ask things from the community, to be kind, be fun. So we also look for those things like, would this person be a good fit inside of the other 34 businesses that are all going to feel like a big family and a bunch of friends by the time this thing's over? And if we can check some of those boxes, then we'll continue to go down the road and look like, to see if it would be a good fit.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
And then Christine asked, if you don't have your niche or business figured out, should you wait until the next mastermind? That's a really great question. So every round, we always have people that are like doing over 6 figures. They're like, we've got this thing down. We're just scaling things, or like really just figuring out how to like make this manageable. And we always have people in the middle. Maybe they've been doing this for a few years. They're like full-time, but their income's not where they want it to be, or people that are just starting. So we've always have people that are just starting in the mastermind. And sometimes that's like a really advantageous place to be, because you don't have to fix a bunch of stuff, right? Like you're starting from scratch, which is really exciting. And we always without like literally a doubt, we always have one person that comes in and they're like, yeah, honestly, like I don't have a business and I'm not exactly sure what I should be doing. All I know is that I either want out of my 9 to 5 or I want to do something in the creative space or whatever. I want to be a social media manager, maybe. Like they just know that they want to work for themselves and build a business. So here's what I would say. The people that have succeeded best that come in like that, which those ones are the ones that really pop off. We had Jordan in our last one, Jordan's Media. She's the van lifer in Australia.
Coomer, she's awesome.
She came in, she was like, I don't have a business. I don't really know what I want to do. All I know is I want to live in a van in Australia and make money from my van. And
we accepted her because we can help.
Because yeah, I'll talk about why we accept those people in a second. So she came in literally within like the first 2 weeks. We've built a business. We've got the ideal client. We're getting the pitching going. Like she's landing deals within the mastermind, and she was off to Australia in like less than 6 months. It was crazy. So what I'm saying about that is that doesn't work for everybody. So if someone comes in, I've literally said to people that are in your space that I've been telling them like this is not right for you. Like if you are someone who's like, I just can't decide, like I don't want to decide. I want to kind of live in the like, I'm not sure what I really want to do and I don't want to go all in, then I would say don't do it. Because this is going to be like a fast moving, really high energy, really decisive implementing 6 weeks. This is not learn for 6 weeks and then start doing stuff. This is like day one, we're doing things. So it's like boot camp. So if you're confused and you're like, I have a few options that I'm kind of thinking about, but I'm just not quite sure which one, that's totally fine. As long as you are willing to make a decision and actually start on one, we will help you figure out which route you should go, ask you the right questions, get some feedback. But if you are someone like, no, I just really want to get started and I'm willing to make fast, quick decisions, then that's great. I love people like that in the mastermind. Yeah. So that's my advice.
Devin says you got to be comfortable with them calling you out to grow. That's true.
That's true.
That's true. You're signing up for that. Devin, you've done a great job.
It.
Devin, you guys got to go check out Devin's IG.
Devin, throw your Instagram.
Devin, throw your Instagram in the chat. So Devin is, we call Devin, I think we call him the lighting daddy. Because he's just like so good.
Devin, you need to do more like showing your face on stories though. I feel like I just always see his beautiful work and I want to see more of you on your Instagram stories.
Yeah, because Devin's also an awesome guy.
Okay, wait. There was a question. This person had a question multiple times and I want to make sure we get to it. It's right over here. I've been shooting for many years, but I'm only just trying to make it full time. So my issue is not getting in front of the right people to get noticed. Any advice, product and brand related? Great question. So yeah, I'll just give a quick thing and then why don't you jump into it? You have to go where the people are. As Little Mermaid, as that sounds, you have to get in front of where they live and the actual decision makers, right? So this is not like, let me post on Instagram and all of my other friends that are brand photographers are liking it and like my friends are liking it. Like, why am I not getting work? It's like, you have to go and get in front of the decision maker of the people you're really trying to work for. So that may not look like you just only, maybe if it's very product related, very larger brand related, they're probably not going to find your Instagram and see your one post that you did organically, right? Like that stuff helps. If you're building an awesome brand and like you're creating awareness around that, Joey and I will 100% stand behind you should build a personal brand. That should be a very big focus of yours. However, when it comes to like actually pitching, first of all, pitching, most brands, products, all that kind of stuff, the only way you will most of the time, 90% of the time will ever work with them is if you pitch them. They're not going to probably happen upon you. So cold pitching is a very real thing, and I know it can be scary. And there's definitely a right way to pitch and a wrong way to pitch. But the right way is a lot of different types of ways, which is awesome. But I would find where they are living and how can you literally get there.
Yeah. I want to point out the word noticed in your question. You might be getting in front of the right people. You might just not be getting noticed. So to add on to what Christy's saying, that's great advice to get in front of the right people, but you can spend your whole life getting in front of the right people and still not be noticed. Yes. So a way to get noticed is by making sure that you are a person of value. You are very aware of the problems that your ideal clients have and how you can solve them, and you're comfortable talking about that. So let's say someone does make it to your socials and they are the right person, you got in front of the right person. But if they're looking through your socials and your whole social account, all of your captions, your posts, everything are just to impress other photographers that you know, which is, it's a little bit of a call out, but we see that all the time where people's social medias are actually only about impressing their creative friends rather than being about actually getting work with their ideal clients.
This is true.
You need to shift your messaging, your copy,
We've all been
your
there.
bio, your captions, and your content to actually be speaking to your ideal client rather than just like posting something you know is going to impress the creative that lives on the other side of town. So that's my only other piece of adding that on is,
and
it's important you consider, am I actually, when I am in front of the right people, am I actually noticeable?
And figure out what your like unique selling point is. Like, it may not be a massive audience with a ton of experience of all of this different stuff, but like, are you located in an area that you have access to some pretty cool content ideas for them? Like, do you have access to different influencers? Maybe you have some friends that are influencers that you could like help get in on a campaign with you. Like, what do you have like some type of access to that would provide something different? Or like, even if it's just like literally the helpfulness of your personality and the fact that you really care and you will actually put your heart and soul into it, that is like a really big like part of that. So like, voice note them, right? Do something different to make yourself stand out, rather than just like, hi, my name is this, and this is my boring email, and it'll probably end up in junk anyways. Like, do something else that kind of stands out. It's really good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any last questions about the mastermind? There's one here. If you've got any more, throw them in the chat right now, because this is the only time Christy and I are going to be able to answer them on this call. But Allison says is going.
Thanks,
I'm going to be out of
I
town
will
for
enjoy
2
my
weeks in
call.
September. Allison, if you're still on the call, you're asking, is this still possible? We should probably chat about that because we want to make sure you still be able to maximize it, get a ton out of it. But yes, we've had people who have been gone on trips
Like
or
traveling
like very
internationally
busy
and all of that.
and they still decide to do it if it's the right fit, and we have to figure that out with you. So Allison, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We can chat with you about that and let you know very honestly if it's not going to be a good it's not going to be a good opportunity for you.
Awesome. Well,
anybody
you guys,
else, any questions? Ask now, forever hold your peace, or just DM us
don't forever,
later tonight.
Just
yeah.
That's
yes.
great. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much
yes.
for being here.
Guys,
like,
this was great. Hopefully this was awesome.
You guys, it's such a privilege to have you guys here to help you just like learn, grow. Hopefully something tonight really sparked something in you to be able to just do something different with your business, to create different results, to hopefully succeed at doing what you love this next year, or whatever that looks like for you. We are here for you. So again, if you want to join this round of the mastermind, submit your application. We've got almost all this. We've got literally so many applications in right now, and they were going off all during this call. And I'm like, we have so many applications to go through. But if you want early access, make sure I would honestly apply tonight if you can. If not, you can apply tomorrow. But yeah, application is all there for you. And if not, no worries. We've got a podcast that you can listen to. We drop episodes every single week. They're super actionable. We keep them nice and short. It's a ton of fun. So thank you all for listening to the podcast. I saw so many of you being like, I love the podcast.
Yeah,
That
if
makes
you're
us
still
feel
here and you're from the podcast, if you listen to the podcast every week, drop it in the chat. Just say me, bro.
You guys, it's like the only time that it feels like I'm like, podcasting's so weird because you're like, it's not like you see the number of like, oh, this person's listening and this. Like, it feels like you're talking to a wall, and I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to a wall. I'm talking to real people. This is so fun for me. So
great, guys.
Thanks for listening.
If you're not on the podcast, make sure you go listen to the podcast.
Social audit, DM, ads, text.
Yep.
All that good stuff. So
this was the most valuable webinar I've ever attended. Charlotte, we are glad. That was our goal. That was our promise to you. We said at the beginning, we're trying to give you as much value as humanly possible in a couple hours. So, awesome. Guys, we're so grateful for you guys being here. If you want to catch this recording, we are going to put it up hopefully on the podcast platform, put up the whole recording on the podcast platform. Hopefully it's going to make its way to YouTube as well. And we will be emailing you guys when that is up. So if you'd like to rewatch it, get the value again, soak it all in, please do, because that's what it's there for. From us and the rest of the team here at Creativ Rise that made this happen, we are so appreciative of you guys. Again, we only exist to help you guys get paid to do what you love. So know that on those tough days, when it just feels like you're grinding and it's not working, we believe in you guys.
You're not alone.
We're telling you it is possible. Keep going, keep grinding, keep chasing your dream, and we will catch you guys soon. We're going to get some pizza.
I'm going to go get some sauce.
Let's go get some pizza.
All
right, guys.
Have a great night.
See ya.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll
Bye-bye.
talk to you soon. Bye. All right, so if you made it to the very end, you are a rock star. That Q&A was so fun. I love just getting fielding live questions. It's just so fun. That was just a great little snapshot of what community feels like, and honestly, what our mastermind group calls feel like, which is really cool. So if you are interested, seriously, do not wait to apply for a spot, because again, we already have more applications than spots. We're going to be literally giving out spots to people tonight, and it is Wednesday. So you got to get in if you want to get in.
Yeah, applications end on
September 8th.
September 8th. Early access ends on September 1st, or when we just sell out, which it always happens. So anyways, guys, you made it through the whole thing. You must be somewhat tired because that was very long. We are exhausted. Again, we're going to get some pizza. So we will see you guys on next week's episode. Hopefully this was just super impactful and helpful for you. See you next week.